What up, though, One Pride? This is the Roar of the Lions UK podcast, the podcast where One Pride goes worldwide. My name is Anthony Fitzpatrick. I will be joined shortly by Ryan McCluskey, and it is a Tuesday evening, so a little earlier than usual, but that can only mean one thing. It's time for your weekly dose of college knowledge. Yes, it is the college football podcast. The Bison-tennial man. My film show titles keep going on, and I am really proud of them. Hope everybody is well this week. We are going to be taking a look back at the first full week of the college football slate. Yes, week one has already come and gone. A lot of upsets. I mean, well, not a lot of upsets, a few upsets, a lot of near upsets, a lot of blowouts because we are in the non-conference season at the minute. So we're in the land of landslides, me and Ryan this week. We're going to be sifting through to try and find the good games. There were some big performances from players, from teams. We're going to go through all that good stuff with you. And then we're going to take a look ahead to week two because there are a few big games coming up there, none more so than one particular fixture at Ann Arbor with a betting line that will astound you, one that I've not seen so heavy in the favourites of an away team for so long. So me and Ryan, of course, will be putting forward our pick watch predictions for this week and then discussing all the other potential games in there. Hope everybody is well today. Just shout out all of you now. I know Avery's in the YouTube chat, Spirit of Detroit podcast. Hope you are doing well, Avery, part of LNU, another one of the wonderful Detroit Lions content creators out there. Sub to his channel if you haven't done already. Mile Markers in the building, Mike the Marine's in there as well, Carlton Woods in the building. Hope you are all doing well. I will go into Twitch shortly soon as well. As always, any questions, anything you want to ask me and Ryan this evening, we will get back to you at some point in the show, give you the best answers we possibly can with that. Hello, Lisa, as well. She just entered the building. Hope you're doing well, Lisa. Gonna try and keep my keyboard quiet this week, so apparently it was a little loud the week before. So I shall do my best to keep everything on the up and up. Just while I'm waiting for Ryan to come in, I will just get through all the housekeeping bits and bobs so that we can go straight into the good stuff when he gets in here. So don't forget Road Lions UK Discord if you want in on that. We'll send you a link and you can come and join us. Obviously, the season starts in a mere 5 days' time now, so it's a hive of activity, eagerly awaiting the beginning of the Lions' hopeful 2024 Super Bowl campaign. Main podcast, if you've not checked it out already, that was yesterday, obviously in preparation for the upcoming season. We need to make some predictions about how the Detroit Lions are going to do this year. So we made our predictions for all 17 games in the regular season. We also had a go at who we think's going to win the other conferences going forward this season. Of course, we were joined by a big panel yesterday. We had Ryan Forden, the International Fan of the Year, back with us. He's heading out actually to Detroit this week. So if any of you are around at the game, you haven't met Ryan yet, you want to, I highly recommend you seek him out. He is a really good laugh. He's coming over for the weekend, hopefully be a beacon of positivity for the Lions there. And of course, we were joined by our own Steve Collins as well. And for those who didn't check, if you go and check out the beginning of our last show, he had an update about his health and bits that have been going on in his life. He's incredibly brave. And yeah, we were really glad to have him back on with us. And we had a good show. So yeah, if you've not seen it, go check it out there. Don't forget to like and sub to everything, Twitch, YouTube, all that good stuff. It all helps us out. Don't forget about Lions Nation Unite, Herman Moore's project to bring together the best in-Lions content creators on YouTube, including the likes of Spirit of Detroit podcast, Micro Mike, us guys here, Dose Dion, all sorts of good stuff going on there. And I believe fantasy football season starts for LNU tomorrow, so you can come and pick your wits against the best of Lions YouTube, see if you know fantasy better than we do. Don't forget we're Twitch affiliate, YouTube monetized, got a tip jar, all that good stuff. If you want to help us that way, great. If not, we're just glad to have you in the building. We've got a feedback form as well, so any suggestions you want to make for the shows, just fill that in. We'll send them on over and we shall take all that on board. Lost Oceans is in the building as well. Sorry to hear about Steve sending positive vibes. Oh, I hope your dad's doing all right there as well. Yeah, it's just it's rough it's very rough. I've lost two people to that dreaded disease this year as well, which has been rough. So, prayers to you as well, Lost Oceans. It's not pretty, but we're all staying tough with Steve. So yeah, we're a big knit unit here on Royal Alliance UK. Right. Ryan is a little late. He was running late from work today. He's in the waiting room, and I just need to admit him because I missed it. So let's get him in, and then we can get the show underway. Just bear with us one moment, and he will be in. As I say, we're going to be going through the week one fixtures. We've got a little bit of news to go through as well, and here he is, the man we've all been waiting to see. Ryan, how you doing, man? We've had the first week of the college football slate, lots of games on, lots of blowouts, with it being the non-cons, but in between the destruction wrought by all those big landslide victories, there were a lot of fun games this week. Some upsets, a lot of near upsets, some wonderful player performances. It was a fun week one.
Yeah, it was very interesting. Like the rankings already been shaken up. Yeah, we had some very lopsided heavy score lines. Then we had some that literally, like I say, were separated by a point. We saw a little bit of everything. Like I say, we saw the good, the bad, some ugly. Like I say, actually, we saw a lot of ugly, but no, yeah, very interesting week one. And yeah, I read somewhere like one of the most in recent years, it's like 47 different teams. Like, say, I've got a new starting quarterback out of the portal of like 68 teams that have changed the QB. 47 have come out of the portal. It's like one of the biggest percentages in recent times here. Very odd, and like you say, a lot of new faces.
Yeah, you can see some teams struggling to adapt to big changes, and you can see some teams who've really gotten their groove on quick. But a lot of teams we just know nothing about because they're playing levels of opposition that don't really give us an indicator of what they're gonna be. Right, so we've got a couple of little bits of news we're gonna go through first very quickly before we get onto the games because that's what we're all here for. So, news-wise, a little bit of alignment news, right? So, Oregon State and Washington State, obviously the remnants of the Pac-12, the Pac-2 this year, it has been announced they will not be renewing this short-term alliance they had with the Mountain West, which is going on this year. Instead, both teams will be switching to independent schedules where they are free to schedule any teams they like. So, the number of independents actually going to go back up to four, even if UMass join the MAC because, UConn join the Big 12 because that's still a few years in the future there. But maybe not unexpected here, right? Obviously, they'll 12-team playoffs. You're not really going to get in by beating a Mountain West schedule. So I guess the way to get it whilst you're in purgatory is to be able to go out and schedule a few more Power 5 teams and up your strength of schedule.
Yeah, in the short term, being an independent is probably a better route than to the playoffs than winning the Mountain West. And that's with no disrespect to the Mountain West. Like I said, I think the winner will be pretty strong, but realistically, you're gonna have to go 13-0, win the Mountain West, have couple of Power Four scalps, like I say, be a big program, and then even then, you're only going to get a look in at 11, if not 12. And yeah, their TV deal amount in the West, I don't think it's very good either. Like I said, I don't think they've got, like, say, the best networks, adverts, and all that. So I don't really blame them for going independence. I don't think they're overly attractive. So once they go independence, I don't know. I don't see where they end up. I imagine they end up somewhere maybe they don't want to be, but financially they're forced to make a decision in 2 years' time. I can't see them being independent more than a year.
No, I feel like they'll try and schedule some of their old Pac-12 buddies on known cons
Yeah,
and
they'll want
see if
local
they can.
rivals. They won't want to be
Yeah,
clocking up the air miles, I don't think.
no. You want to try and get the bigger teams over there and say sprinkle it in with your non-cons where you go to the
Well, you want
group.
Washington, like say Washington
Yeah,
State, they'll want Washington. Oregon State will want Oregon.
yeah, yeah. Get the big games back and obviously big signature wins if you can win those games. But yeah, not surprised there. Few little bits of injury news leaking out of the first week. Obviously, it happens going early on into the season. I've not been able to update this fully. Just a few of the bigger ones that happened. Balin Spector's brother, Brandon Spector, is a wide receiver for Jacksonville State, out for the season with an elbow injury. Texas A&M, as well as letting me down big time this weekend. They've lost their center for the season, Mark Nabu. He's out with a lower leg injury, but maybe the most significant one so far, Ryan. UNC, we were talking about, they were one of the vast amount of teams that got a new quarterback coming into this year, and Max Johnson was meant to be that guy, but he's lasted one game, he's broken his leg, his season is over, and now I'm not sure what their QB sitch is like. The backup looked okay, but I don't think he's played much, but whether he's good or bad, that's still a massive blow for UNC this year, especially with one particular ACC powerhouse not doing well at this moment in time.
Yeah, the ACC is ripe for the taking, for someone to take it by the horns. And for Max Johnson, I don't know, that feels like it's it. Obviously, like you say, he will get another year of eligibility, breaking your leg after one game. I imagine the waiver for another year will obviously be given to him, being he's a super senior, isn't he, I think? Yeah. So
Yeah.
I imagine he will be back. Do I think he should come back? Probably not. I'd probably just graduate and leave. Like say football. It's not been kind to him in general, so it's the worst way really to end what could potentially be a career, because it means there's absolutely no path to the pros for him either, unfortunately. So
Yeah.
yeah, I was skeptical about their QB room before, and now, yeah, talk crapshoot. Whoever's going to win that job, really.
Yeah, Amari Hampton's going to need a Heisman season, and
He's
he potentially could.
now.
He is. He's going to be carrying 30, 40 times a game, and like he could be, yeah, Heisman season potentially incoming for the running back there. Right, let's move it on to the games. We have a lot to talk about, and for anyone who's not been with the pod during the season before, generally how we work this, we talk about a couple of main games that have caught our attention. Usually the lead is in the title of the show, so you can probably guess who we're going to talk about first this week. Then I like to try and shine a light on a team lesser known who's done really well, and talk about them in a bit of depth. It got me in a lot of trouble last year because pretty much every team I did went and lost the week after I did it, but we're going to carry on again. Then we're going to talk about the upsets that occurred, any big sort of deficit teams who were able to overcome and win there. Then we do the Survivor Corner, where the teams that nearly avoided defeat and need talking about. And then we go through the pick watch games we had, and then we discuss any others as well. But for the purpose of this, for now, for the next few weeks, with there been the non-cons and so many blowouts, there's a lot of games where, yeah, they're just one-sided. So I'm just quickly going to scoot through them because obviously 60-odd games a week, we cannot talk about them all. Otherwise, we'd be here forever. But we do like to let you know what's happened. So I'm going to quickly list all the big blowout wins from this week, and then we can move on with the other ones. So in no particular order, Missouri Tigers beat Murray State 51-0. Utah beat Southern Utah 49-0. Kansas beat Lindenwood 48-3. Rutgers beat Howard 47-7. Central Michigan from the MAC dropped a 60 burger on Central Connecticut State, who only managed 10. UCF beat New Hampshire 57-3. Arkansas dropped a 70 burger on Arkansas Pine Bluff and blocked them out as well. Toledo beat Duquesne 49-10. Tulane shut out Southeastern Louisiana and racked up 52 in the process. Tulsa beat Northwestern State 62-28. UAB beat Alcorn 41-3. Illinois beat Eastern Illinois 45-0. Oklahoma beat Temple 51-3. The Army Black Knights, Brent, good first week for them. They beat Lehigh 42-7. Ohio State beat Akron 52-6. Texas shut out Colorado State with a 52-0 win. Alabama shut out Western Kentucky with a 63-0 win. Ole Miss shut out Furman with a 76-0 win. Tennessee beat Chattanooga 69-3. Kansas State beat UT Martin 41-6. Iowa shut out Illinois State, scoring 40. Louisville shut out Austin Peay, scoring 62. Maryland beat UConn 50-7. Navy beat Bucknell 49-21. Purdue beat Indiana State 49-0. Washington beat Portland State 70-30. Nebraska beat UTEP 40-7. Northern Illinois beat Western Illinois 54-15. Marshall won 45-3 against Stony Brook. East Carolina won 42-3 against Norfolk State. Miss State beat Eastern Kentucky 56-7. Baylor beat Tarleton State. Pittsburgh beat Kent State. Memphis beat North Alabama. South Florida beat Bethune-Cookman. Auburn dropped 73 on Alabama A&M. Wake Forest dismantled North Carolina A&T. Kentucky blew out Southern Miss. BYU won 41-13 against Southern Illinois. James Madison beat Charlotte 30-7. Louisiana beat Grambling 40-10. SMU won 59-7 against Houston Christian. There's three left. San Diego State won 45-14. Washington won 35-3 against Weber State. And I left this one till the very end just for you, Ryan. Arizona State beat Wyoming 48-7 when you thought they might get upset. So not the start you feared for the Sun Devils.
No, Sam Levitt looked great. They had I think it was three defensive touchdowns as well. Two. Yeah. Like I say, a load. They forced a load of turnovers. Scatibo, great, and yeah, Levitt was just pinging it, running as well. Very good debut. Like I say, yeah, special teams, everything was pretty much perfect on the day.
Yeah, good for them. Inside of that, like I say, this is just why there's so many blowouts, so many teams win, but a few little bits in there. And an interesting tip point, James Madison were the only away team in that lot. Everyone else was playing at home, so easy home openers for most of the teams in that one. But we did see one Arch Manning play for Texas, got a passing touchdown, got a rushing touchdown. We saw a little bit of him. They're gonna get him to see the field a bit this year, but the next Manning has arrived in college football.
See, it's hard. Is he going to see the field in any game that matters? Unless they've got like a 40-point lead after quarter three. I just don't think we'll see much of him this year. I might say, God help, I might say a touch wood, an injury, or a blowout where he just gets garbage time. Like say, yeah, I don't see much. But good start from me, yeah. It's like you say, he only gets the job, like I said, through injury, or like you say, when Ewers goes to the first round draft pick next year. Like you say, so it's I get why he stayed at Texas, but it's gonna probably be another lost year.
Yeah, probably. But I'll be 2 years in, so he'll be a redshirt sophomore.
Yeah,
He'll still have a few. Yeah,
he'll still have 2 good years before the draft, or three.
Yeah. We're probably looking about 2027 for him,
6 or 7, yeah, at least.
2027, we'll see him. But yeah, anywho, those are all the blowouts. We got them out of the way. So I don't think there's many other games we're going to talk about this week. But yeah, we're going to go into our main game. And of course, title of the show gets you the first game talk of the week. And it's titled The Bison-tennial Man this week. We're talking about the Bison. We're talking about the North Dakota State Bison, of whom I believe in the chat we have a professor from, if I remember rightly. So mile marker 301, I professored, was it I tenured? Professored's not really an adjective, but yeah, he goes, I professored at NDSU, go Bison. So we have a former Bison professor in the building, so go Bison. But yeah, we had the North Dakota State Bison who traveled to Boulder to take on Dion and the Colorado Buffaloes, with probably 99% of the nation hoping for the upset. This was a battle of FCS powerhouse versus aspiring FBS powerhouse. So Bison got the ball first in this one, went straight to work. Quarterback Cam Miller found a wide open TK Marshall, took the ball 48 yards downfield, got to work with the fierce run defense they have after that, but they were eventually stopped. They had to settle for a 36-yard field goal from Griffin Crosser. Early 3-0 lead for North Dakota State there. But Colorado, they hit straight back. They put together their own good opening drive, and they were able to finish it off when Travis Hunter, he of two-way fame right now, from 41 yards. So he takes a catch, he turns the corner guarding him inside out, all ends up as we say, sticks on the nitrous to blast past a helpless safety who's taken a terrible angle on him, takes it all the way home from 41 yards out for a Buffaloes touchdown. And, Buffaloes 7-3 up, but North Dakota State, to the credit, they are not fazed by this. They put together a near 6-minute drive, a lovely mixture of pass and run, and it ends up with Cam Miller, the quarterback, finding the tight end Joe Sturfel, who catches a pass running backwards into the end zone from 9 yards out, and they retake the lead. They go head to head, so North Dakota State take a 10-7 lead at this point. However, it takes Colorado a mere 44 seconds to get that lead back. Shedeur Sanders finds Jimmy Horn Jr. on a crosser. He fakes out this poor North Dakota State cornerback who's trying to guard him. He hits the perimeter. He takes the ball 71 yards for a touchdown to give them their lead back instantly. That's Colorado 14-10 up at this point. But once again, NDSU, they keep their heads. So either side of the first quarter finishing, they put together another slow, methodical, roughly 6-minute drive, this time driven by their run offense, which ends with Cam Miller, the quarterback, on a quarterback keeper on a fake handoff. He runs it in from 7 yards out for the touchdown, and North Dakota take the lead once more at 17-14. And then the Bison make their first stop of the day on defense. They're able to stuff a 4th-and-1 rushing attempt from Dallin Hayden, and they get a turnover on downs. They're able to put together after that yet another 6-minute drive, but this time they do have to settle for a field goal from 36 yards, which Crosser puts over. But at this point, North Dakota State 20, Colorado 14. They're able to get another stop on defense with 3 minutes left, but then they can't get anything going on offense either. And it ends up with Colorado on their own 2-yard line with 58 seconds left. And with all due respect to him, Shedeur puts together a massive drive. He pretty much takes hits on nearly every single play, but he gets a really big completion to Jimmy Horn Jr. again. It gets them into field goal range, and they're able to sneak 3 back before the half. So going into the half, North Dakota State are winning this thing 20-17. Coming out the half, Colorado start with the ball. Again, they start how they left off. A massive completion to Travis Hunter gets the Buffaloes in the North Dakota State red zone quick. But then Shedeur throws what must be the most unlucky pick in history. He throws a pass into the end zone. His pass falls a little short of the receiver. It bounces off the calf of a North Dakota State defender who's lying on the ground in the end zone, completely oblivious to what's going on, bounces off his calf up into the air, and there is the linebacker Nick Kubitz, who very gratefully scoops it up. He's taken down in the end zone for a touchback, but another takeaway from the North Dakota State defense. But unfortunately for them, this is where the game comes unraveled a bit. The offense comes out cold. Chidozie and Nwankwo, the Colorado DT, completely blows up their next drive with a big sack. It forces them to punt. And then Shedeur gets to work again. He splits open the NDSU defense. Massive completions to Jimmy Horn Jr. again. And then he finds Travis Hunter for his second touchdown of the day. He completely bullies some poor cornerback in the end zone, just basically throws him away out the back of the end zone, gets the catch. It's uncontested for a touchdown. Colorado take their first lead in a while. But, North Dakota State refused to go away. They put together another decent drive, but once again, they're turned away because they're a bit more stuck to the run at this point. And then Colorado, with them, they respond with an over 8-minute drive of their own, which is rare for them. Takes them to about halfway into the fourth quarter before Travis Hunter again makes an absolutely unreal grab in the end zone. So he's falling away into the right outside of the end zone. He gets a fully extended grab away from his body, gets both hands on it. It is an absolutely beautiful touchdown and probably a catch only he can make, but it gives the Buffaloes some breathing room. They're 31-20 up with 8 minutes left, and you just think the game is done. But NDSU find one last big shot of energy. They take nearly 6 minutes. They batter away at the Buffaloes defense, including converting a 2nd and 17, I think it was. And eventually Cam Miller, the quarterback, he finds a hole in the coverage, dashes through the trenches all the way to the end zone from about 20 yards out. And with 2:20 left in the game, they get the touchdown. They try for a 2-point conversion, but they can't get it. But at this point, it's only 31-26 to Colorado. They've got 2 timeouts left. They've got the 2-minute warning, but they're hit with a very crippling and contentious DPI call, which takes two of those away. Colorado then make a very curious case to start throwing the ball with incompletions, which stops the clock, gives North Dakota the chance to get it back when the game should have been, kneeled out. But they get it at their own 8-yard line with just 31 seconds remaining. But I mean, Cam Miller, he hits Bryce Lance, who's the brother of Trey Lance. They were both at North Dakota State together. Hits Braylon Henderson, gets them to midfield. Very suspicious clock management from the rest. They were taking time off the clock when they weren't playing, which was never explained here. But anywho, it ends up in a Hail Mary from their own 47. Miller launches it all the way down, and Tyler Terhawk, who is just 4 yards away from the end zone, actually catches the thing, but he's in the air, he's catching it. He gets swarmed by about 5 Buffalo's defenders, and North Dakota State Ride come up in agonizingly close, 4 yards from winning this game. But when we talked about it last week, we said we thought the Colorado were going to boom, but all we wanted was a very strong, competitive North Dakota State performance. And for pretty much the vast majority of this game, that's exactly what we got. They really made themselves proud.
Yeah, they brought their usual brand of football, which is hard nose, run between the tackles with the occasional field stretching pass, and like you say, good defense. It was a very good game. It was further proof that NDSU do belong in the FBS, despite their reluctance to make the move, and it probably still won't convince them any time to make the jump up. But they gave Colorado a lot to think about, a lot of head scratching. There were some long methodical drives. Cam Miller's one of my favorite QBs in the nation. He's been very good for the Bison over years. Incredible dual threat athlete, very good leader, very experienced. It's a team that wants to give the ball to as many people as possible. Like you say, there was 8 different people that took a rushing carry. Like I say, they like to keep people fresh. They like to have 2, 3 people in the backfield at any one time. I think the only thing that let them down was they're too slow. Like I say, their drives just sometimes take too long because they don't have splash plays, because they don't have guys like Travis Hunter and Jimmy Horn. Like I say, Cam Miller doesn't have a bomb of an arm, so they just weren't able to react and score quick enough. Like I say, Colorado, they've got splash plays and big plays in abundance. We do still see the worrying trend of them unable to run the ball. They were able to win the game without running the ball, but it's not ideal. They still are incredibly one-dimensional. And yeah, that is a worry against some of the bigger sides. But yeah, in the end, very good. Interesting clock management, yep, on that final NDSU drive. Like I say, it kind of baffling what really happened, like I say, with the officials and the time. But yeah, they were very unfortunate. Like I say, they got it Hail Mary bombed down, but yeah, there was just no room to back into the end zone. But yeah, I think they'll take a lot from that. Like I say, even in a loss, they've still done themselves a world favour. It's a good. They're shaking the cobwebs off now to start their own schedule. This whole game of no, yeah. Colorado, fair play to them. They avoided a very dangerous banana skin to the season. And Travis Hunter, he looks like a lock, doesn't he? I say, I think he should be a permanent receiver. I do not think he should be only taking 2 snaps off in a game, because I think ultimately playing corner, if he gets hurt, he's going to not be a top. If he gets a serious injury, is he going to be a top 10 draft pick next year? No.
So you kind of hit up on a few of the points I want to make there. So, like Travis Hunter, he's the reason that the show was named why it was. So for anyone who doesn't know, so the Bison-tennial man, if you've not seen the film, it's the story basically of a robot that wants to be accepted as human. He has emotions, he has all this stuff. Really good film with Robin Williams, but like Travis Hunter seems to be the reverse Bison-tennial man here, where he's a human with robotic abilities, because how he's able to play so many snaps in games, how he's able to play on both sides of the ball as a receiver in this one, 7 for 132 yards, 3 touchdowns, one of them which was genius. On defense, 72 snaps, 3 tackles, 2 run stuffs, gave up 2 completions just for 14 yards. Like, he's not slowing down despite playing 2 ways every single game. He had 127 snaps on defense here. Is this, I think you kind of maybe slightly answered it here, but are we now at the point where we have to start entertaining the possibility that he is going to be the NFL's version of Shohei Ohtani, and he is going to go as a dual threat. He's going to go as a two-way guy, and they're going to play him as a two-way guy at the next level because, like I say, his athleticism, his ability to do this, it's like it's a robot in a human body. Like no one else can do what he's doing. And do we have to have that conversation now?
I think Dion will let him do whatever he wants. There are only you can probably count on one hand how many head coaches with a collective bargaining agreement, with an NFL contract, and with the tags. I don't even know if you're allowed to play both ways full time because how do they pay you like a corner or a receiver? If they want to put a tag on you, it'd create a controversy, wouldn't it? I don't know how in the modern day how I don't know how it's allowed to work in the NFL if you're even allowed to take so many equal snaps on either side when it comes to your contracts. I don't know how that works. I reckon some, but a lot of them, no, they're not going. They're going to make him pick. And I reckon when he gets to the draft and he has the meetings with them, a lot of coaches are going to sit him down and say, "Which do you want to play? Because we're going to make you pick." And he might be like, "Maybe I don't want to play for you." Sure, some NFL coaches will be like, "Do you know what? Yeah, we'll let you play both ways." But then the moment he gets an injury, they'll probably be like, "Well, that was a disaster. That was a big mistake on my part for not letting you." Yeah, it's fun. And I think if he continues at this pace, he only missed two snaps and one of them because his helmet was pulled off. He was very
Hmm.
close to playing the entire game. If he does that all year, I think Travis Hunter will be a top five draft pick. I think he's going to be the first wide receiver off the board. I'm pretty sure, I'm convinced he will be,
Hmm.
I say. So, yeah, someone's going to love that versatility. Would Dan Campbell let him play both ways? I think in pre-season he probably would, to be honest. I think Dan would let him do that. I don't know how he would in a game, but I don't know. Travis Hunter and that Lions offense, it kind of excites you, like you say, for a guy that is built like a chip. He's built like a matchstick. He's very tough. He's very durable. But we're gonna see the limits of it push this year. Just how far can he push himself physically before he breaks?
Hmm. I mean, if he plays 120 snaps a game over a full season, I guess then you've got a legitimate argument as to whether he can or not. But like whatever he's doing, it's incredible, and some of the plays he's making are just absolutely fantastic. But in terms of his Colorado team, you mentioned it. So what were the problems they had last year running the football? So Colorado in this one, 504 yards of offense, 445 of those through the air. 65 on the ground, that's still a problem. Defending against the run for North Dakota State, obviously, we know they like to run the football. They had 170 yards on the ground on the day, nearly 300 through the air, though, because that secondary is vulnerable. They had 500 yards of offense, Colorado did, but North Dakota State had 454. And for all intents and purposes, they are an FBS team, but at the same time, they are still an FCS team. So we're seeing the exact same problems with this team as we saw last year, and not much, at least in one game or one game sample, has changed right now, and it's going to have to because Shador can't take this sort of punishment every week.
No. And I don't like to hate on anyone, but it's clearly obvious right now that Shiloh Sanders has not got the football ability of his brothers, has he? Or his dad. I don't think he's very good. I think he only starts, honestly, because of who he is. He is a liability at safety. And anyone on that defense that's in that secondary, not called Travis Hunter, they get targeted weekly. And yeah, they have issues, like you say. And yeah, Shador still gets under a lot of pressure. He was very comfortable with throwing this ball in his face, but guys were getting to him and they were laying gloves on him. He was taking hits. So yeah, last year we saw that when it came up against teams that could stop the pass, Colorado came totally unstuck because they couldn't run the ball. And I expect the exact same thing to happen this year. Anyone with a lockdown secondary or can just keep Travis Hunter under 100 yards, you've got a great chance of winning the game because they ain't running the ball for toffee because their scheme's not good and their offensive line does not want to run block.
No.
So yeah, yeah, but yeah, they've not changed, which yeah is worrying. Like I said, they're still going to try win games the same way.
Yeah, I mean, I know they have made a lot of investment and it takes time. Like you've
Yeah,
got
like I said,
Seaton, you've
John
got
Seaton, like I say, great
first
tackle. He
game.
will grow really well. The offensive line will get better.
Yeah,
It's the fact it's their lack of commitment to running the ball. You only
yeah,
get better by making him run the ball, and they still refuse to do it.
yeah, absolutely. It's
And you're in a running division. You're in a running
yeah,
conference
yeah,
where all the teams, like say, want to run the ball.
yeah, exactly. So it, yeah, we're gonna see. They're a touchdown underdog this week, so let's see how they do against a team who does have the resources to blunt them, and they're on the road as well. So we will see. But well done, North Dakota State. You gave a good account of yourselves, 4 yards short. It was a great game, really enjoyable indeed. Moving on to the second of the main games I wanted to talk about, and always we want to try and highlight a team who maybe doesn't get as much love as they should do. There were so many blowouts this week for FCS teams that you kind of like, yeah, this is a bit pointless, but just sometimes these FCS teams fight back and give you the scare of your life, and that was none more so than for one particular Big 12 team this week. So we're
Well, I
going to
know where we're
take a
going with this
look.
one. This was wild.
This was one of the best games I've seen in my life. I loved every single bit of it. So we're talking about the Abilene Christian Wildcats on the road to the Texas Tech Red Raiders, who were favored in this game by 32 and a half points. And what unfolded was a 103-point masterpiece of a game. So Texas Tech opened this one up. Of course, Taj Brooks, who else, opened the scoring on the opening Texas Tech drive. 18 yards out, this really sick cut whilst he was going up the middle. He powered out to the right side, pylon for six. Tech take an early 7-0 lead. Then it looks really bad. On the response drive from Abilene, they mess up a delayed handoff on their own 20, which Tech are able to punch out and recover. And then 2 plays later, they're in the end zone. 2 successive passes to the wide receiver, Coy Aiken, who punishes the Wildcats. And Tech get really aggressive. They have a niche 2-point attempt in the Wildcat, which they convert. So basically, the long snapper has the entire offensive line just to his right with a runner behind him. He diagonally snaps it to him and he's able to rush it in. So before you know it, Tech are 15-0 up in this one, and you're kind of fearing for Abilene at this point. But they finally settle in. They start digging in hard. The next drive, they convert a 3rd and 8, a 3rd and 6. They pull out an end around, which goes for a first down. And then quarterback Maverick McIver launches an absolute dart from the Texas Tech 42, which finds his tight end, Jed Castles. He finds himself 1v1 with a safety in the 5. He pulls this 6 stop-start movement, and the safety just dives out of bounds because he completely misses him. And he carries 2 trailing defenders into the end zone for a touchdown. The kick is good, so Tech's lead is reduced to 15-7, but then they hit right back. So they run a slew of successful screen passes before quarterback Baron Morton finds Coy Aiken again in acres of space. He takes in the touchdown from 35 yards out. Another good kick. Tech are back up by 15. Again, it's 22-7. But what is the theme of the game? The Wildcats keep digging deep in their response. They convert a 3rd and 5. McIver hits a couple of deep passes. Then you get the running back, Isaiah Johnson. He hits a double-digit run before taking 2 attempts from the 7-yard line to get in for the touchdown. The kick is good, so Tech lead 22-14 at this point. And then they start moving the ball really well again, Tech do. But Abilene is finally able to make a stop. They force a field goal, which Gino Garcia hits in from 39 yards. Texas Tech's lead then extends 25-14. Abilene's offense then gets stopped, and then things sort of threaten to get out of hand. Taj Brooks fronts another drive downfield, and just as it looks like Abilene have a stop, they get Tech in 4th and 13 on their 36. Baron Morton throws an unreal pass to the right side of the end zone, and Jalen Conyers, his tight end, makes an even more unreal grab. So he's under pressure from 2 defenders, steals a wonderful touchdown, and the gap extends to 18 with 3 minutes of the half left. But honestly, go and watch that pass alone. Morton's pass to Conyers is sublime, and the catch is even better. But it's Tech 32-14 up at this point, but still, Abilene refused to go down. They're on 3rd and 6 on their own 29 when McIver launches an absolute bomb downfield where their wide receiver, Blaine Taylor, is. He's absolutely smoked the Texas Tech DB, CJ Baskerville, like a kipper. He takes it in stride. He survives contact from the DB behind him, keeps his balance, races the remaining 35 yards, takes it 71 yards to the house altogether. The kick is good, and the lead is reduced to 32-21 just before the half. Each team has another drive, but nothing doing. So they go into the half 32-21 to Tech. The second half comes out how the first one finished. It's frenetic. On Tech's opening drive, Coy Aitken has another really impressive toe tap grab on the sideline for a big gain. Brooks does some more really good hard running in the red zone. But at 1st and goal from the 9, Abilene break up a pass on 1st down, and then 3 times in a row, they stuff Taj Brooks, 2 of them from the 1-yard line, bearing in mind he's one of the best running backs in the entire country, and they force a turnover on downs, which is absolutely superb defense from them. And then backed up on their own 4-yard line, McIver hits a 25-yard pass to Javon Gibson, gets them out of trouble. Then on 3rd and 10, he slings it another 30 yards, and Blaine Taylor, again, this was a match for some superb catches, but Blaine Taylor makes an unreal diving grab under pressure from 2 players, somehow hangs onto it when he contacts the ground, and then they go to their ground game. Isaiah Johnson, Rovaughn, Banks force a series of really tough runs, lots of yak in there. Banks finally gets it in the end zone. He carries a defender around his waist from the 1, and from Taj Brooks on your own 1-yard line, they turn it round, they get a touchdown of their own. Tech, at this point, they're only up 32-28. But then the match turns again. On the ensuing kickoff, kick returner Dre McCray, who had 3 returns for 165 yards in this game, hits a crease, brings it all the way back to the Abilene 35, and the very next play, Texas Tech hit a flea flicker. Baron Morton finds Josh Kelly from 35 yards out, who's busted the coverage entirely, strolls it into the end zone. There's just 20 seconds between that touchdown and the Abilene one from before it, and Tech are up 11 again, which is 39-28. Abilene get another good drive going, but just as the third quarter's about to expire, they get stuffed on a 4th and 1 in midfield, and they turn the ball over. But once again, they refuse to go away. 3 minutes into the 4th, they get their own back. They get a 4th down stop on Texas Tech at halfway as well. So they turn the ball right back over, and it takes them just 2 plays from midfield to get another touchdown. McIver hits Banks on a wheel route. Sorry, Ash, you'll know later, for a big gain before he finds a wide open tight end, Nehemiah Martinez, as all the defensive backs were tracking Blaine Taylor. They just left the tight end wide open. 30-yard touchdown. Tech are only up by 4 at this point. Baron Morton then finds Josh Kelly again with 2 big completions for Texas Tech, gets them all the way back to the Abilene 20. But the Wildcats defense finally starts to stop them, so they have another series at 1st and goal. They're able to stop them in the red zone again. They take Tech all the way back out to the 20, so they've got to settle for a field goal. So at this point, 8.5 minutes left in the game. Tech are up by 7 points. And once again, Abilene just keep on fighting. They get back down in the 10-yard line thanks to a big reception from Isaiah Johnson, the running back. He forces several missed tackles, gets to the 5. He then gets a handoff from the 5-yard line. He breaks 6 tackles, 6 from 6 different players, forces his way into the end zone, levels the score up with 5 minutes to go. So at this point, it's 42-all. Then the teams trade field goals. So Texas Tech get one first. The Wildcats get one back. And bear in mind, they have to convert a 3rd and 7 and a 4th and 4 to be able to get into the end zone. They do have a chance to actually win it in normal time, but there's a really good pass break up from Chapman Lewis there. But they get the field goal with 2 minutes to go. They go to overtime. Texas Tech get the ball first. Sorry, this is long, but this is a really, really big game. So Baron Morton has a moment of magic to escape pressure on a 3rd and 11, finds Caleb Douglas, takes it in for the score. They take the extra point. So Texas Tech are 52-45 up at this point. Then Abilene, they get their own chance. They get out of a 3rd and 10. McIver finds Blaine Taylor again for a critical first down. And then Isaiah Johnson, he gets a reception down to the 1. He finishes the job with his 3rd touchdown of the night, which makes it 52-51. And you know what? I love this decision for them. They didn't want to settle for the tie. They went for the win with a 2-point conversion. But unfortunately for them, Texas Tech found a hero. Their defensive tackle, Jaden Cofield, was able to sack McIver as he tried to run in for the 2-point conversion that would have won Abilene this game. And the Red Raiders survived the biggest of scares from an utterly wonderful Abilene Christian Wildcats performance. They did have a chance to win it late on. They could have tied in extra time. But Ryan, I don't think I will ever critique a team, especially a low one like that, going, you know what, screw it. We're going to go for the win. This was performance of the week, probably by any team. You score a 50 burger on a Power 4 opposition and you still lose, but you've just got to clap a performance like that.
Yeah, they played no fear. They just went and left it all out there and showed absolutely no respect to their opponent. On the flip side, if you're a Texas Tech Raiders fan, I'd be horrified. That's dreadful. Getting dragged in overtime against, like I said, a small school. Like I say, and even though they were so plucky, so many opportunities to get away, pull away, kind of break their spirit, not taken, left them hanging, gave them, let's say, too much space to big, creative, explosive players. Bit of a disaster for them. Like I say, everything for every good thing they did offensively, the defense was woeful. And like I said, the Red Raiders, they really aren't they are there to make up the numbers, it feels like in the Big 12. They have not been good in the recent years, or not when they should have been. And yeah, they got dragged through the 9 gates of hell, like you say, and they came out very lucky to survive and win in the end. I feel like if they'd lost, they probably would have felt like they're still the same as they did when they win. Like I say, they've got a lot of things to work on, sharpen up. And yeah, it was a vastly entertaining game over, like I say, 1,000 yards of offense, over 100 points, the amount of first downs, the amount of big explosive players. Yeah, it was one for the neutral. It was a proper spectacle on the eyes. And yeah, you get 1 or 2 games every year that actually get close to 100 points collectively. And we've seen we're already in one in week 1. And they usually are quite a spectacle to behold.
I think we got 2. We might have just fallen short of 2, but there's one that was pretty close. But yeah, you mentioned the offense. So Abilene Christian, 615 yards of offense on a Power 4 opponent. Now, Texas Tech did get 535, so that's 1,150 yards of offense. But take a bow for the quarterback. So Maverick McIver, I don't know my FCS as well, I do. I don't know if you've done much with him before in Abilene Christian,
Never heard
but
of him, mine.
so 36 of 51, which is really great. 506 passing yards, 3 touchdowns, no takeaways whatsoever. Now, on the flip side, Baron Morton, who we do know a bit, 29 of 41, 366 yards, and 5 touchdowns. And again, no turnovers on the day. The turnovers came, there was 1 in the entire game, which came from a fumble, but I mean, two incredibly good performances from the quarterbacks. Obviously, Taj Brooks does what Taj Brooks does. 27 carries, 153 yards, and a touchdown. Had a couple of catches as well in there. But, certainly definitely a day for the quarterbacks here, and maybe names to watch out for.
Yeah. The quarterbacks and offensive lines, like I say, they gave their quarterbacks so much time to just stand, deliver, and just pick guys off with some great shots. The defensive backs, they're probably going to be forced to watch this film back this weekend and probably watched it through gritted teeth and their hands. I can't imagine the coaches will have liked what they saw. Like I say, a lot of great catches, but yeah, some poor communication and some very leaky defense. But yeah, QB is pretty much perfect from both of them. Couldn't have done much more to win or lose.
Yeah, EPA per play, success rate of plays, yards per play, EPAs per dropback, all in the 85th percentile or above for both teams. Both team, Abel and Christian were averaging 10 yards per dropback on every play. Every time they dropped back, they were averaging 10 yards per play, which is about 100th percentile. Texas Tech was 9. Jesus, these just drop over all over the place. But this was a really good example of an FCS team who gave as good as they got. They went out there. They can be incredibly proud of themselves, and I've not seen them much, but Mr. McIver and Abilene Christian, you've caught my attention, and we will see how you get on for the rest of the year. But for Texas Tech, man oh man, you've got to get that defense better because having 50 dropped on you at home by FCS opposition is no bueno. Right, let's move it on. So those are the two real main games I had this week, but of course there's still a lot to go through. So first off, we go down into what I've now newly named as the Dark Horse Dungeon. This is where you go, where this is where the underdogs win. This is where we get the upsets in there. And I didn't think this result was going to be in it last night, but I stayed up till 4 a.m. in the morning to watch a particular 16.5 point underdog travel to Tallahassee and absolutely break Ash's spirits when he woke up this morning, which has just made my day. Of course, we're talking about the Boston College Eagles heading to Florida State, who were favored by 16.5. They were favored by 23 before this season started. But, Ryan, I think we feel very vindicated on this. They've gone into Tallahassee 128-30. Me and you both picked this in the pick watch because we both saw what Boston College did to them last year. And if not for 230 yards of penalties, they probably would have beaten that unbeaten Florida State team this year. So you're bringing DJU into the building. People are not happy. That team is not looking settled. Boston College are settled. It's their first game. They're as healthy as they're going to be. I mean, everyone says this was an upset, but I don't see it as an upset at all. I see this as a team on the up, which I had no idea was coached by Bill O'Brien now, which showed my knowledge about this. But I don't know if you've seen it, but domination on both sides of the ball from start to finish. And I don't see this as an upset. This is, I think, a very good Boston College team we're witnessing develop in front of our eyes.
Yeah, it's only an upset in the realms because one of the teams had a little hashtag number 10 next to it. But that doesn't make an upset. I agree. Like I say, the ranking to me before this was irrelevant. I said last week I thought this was a must win. Like I said, they could not afford to lose back-to-back games because they're now in a we must win out, we must play fantastic, like I say, to then win over committee, like you say, make sure they get the ACC. They're now in a we drop one more game and the season's over before it's even started territory. And yeah, so so many things not going right, like you say. Once again, like it's like Trey Benson leaving just took all the juice out of the offense. Just they cannot run the ball. Like I say, it starts like say in the trenches, the offensive line not making holes, the receivers and that not sustaining blocks, the guys like say not hitting the right hole or they're too patient behind the line. The defensive line generating not a little pressure, no pressure. That defensive line through 2 games has been pretty much non-existent. And it was an offensive line that has sent how many players to draft in X amount of years? How many guys that have gone out there to try lead the league in college season sacks, like I say, and right now no one is stepping up and being an anchor on that offensive line, and they're allowing teams to just gash them. Like I said, they're running right through the heart of them. And yeah, I still I don't know. I'm still not inclined as of yet to say it's DJ's fault. Like I said, him and the receivers, clearly, there is no chemistry. They are not on the same wavelength at all. We saw players like last year, like you say, where he felt a little bit of pressure, like you say, and he just threw it straight out the back of the end zone. He didn't actually look for anyone. Like you say, he felt flustered or like he didn't know where they were going to be. There were throws where they were just out of reach. He's not got timings with the guys that are there, and there's some talented guys. But yeah, these are the things you work on through spring, but it's just not coming as easy to him this year. And yeah, it's Norvell. pressure's building. Like I say, there's no issue about his job, but right now, but Seminoles fans, they
I'm
will
not
get
happy.
disgruntled very quickly. Yeah, like I said, they will turn very quickly because they're used to winning, they're used to success, and yeah, right now this is a terrible start to the season. But on the flip side, like I say, we saw flashes last year of Thomas Castellanos being a potential star. Like I say, we saw offensive linemen that were gelling quickly and giving him protection, and we saw that flare. Like I say, they built a little sandcastle around him last night. The defensive line couldn't get to him, like he was in like a little igloo. He was very well protected, and he was just picking his shots or dinking and dunking and moving the ball consistently. Yeah. And BC, yeah. Like I said, are they well beaten? No, but they're a good side. They're not to be underestimated. They've got some good players on both sides of the ball. And yeah, I don't know where the Seminoles go from here right now. They need to go back to basics. They've got time off, but now when they go into, like, say, their week 3 game after extra time off, I'll be super critical. I'll be more critical because they've had a fact now. They've got a week to work on this. They've got to come out and they've got to hit the ground running in week 3.
And they're facing Memphis and Seth Hennigan.
Yes.
Like,
A team that runs the ball for fun, and right now they can't stop the run for toffee.
no, that's a bad matchup. But let's just paint a picture of this one for you. So, first up, time of possession in this game. Bearing in mind, Florida State are at home. Boston College, 39 minutes and 9 seconds. Florida State, 20 minutes, 51 seconds. 20 minutes of difference in the clock. And why was that the case? Rushing yards. Boston College, 255 rushing yards. Florida State, less than 50. You go into the Boston College running back room. Kai Robichaud, 19 carries, 85 yards and a touchdown. Castellanos, 12 carries, 76 yards and a touchdown. Trayshawn Ward, former Seminole, 12 carries, 77 yards. Turbo Richards, their real promising freshman who is what is advertised. He's lightning, 4 carries, 28 yards for them. And it was a case, if you watch the game, right, just like Robichaud wasn't going crazy. He was only going about 3.8 yards per carry. But when you get 2 lots of 4-yard carries, you put yourself in 3rd and 2 with a quarterback like Castellanos, you're going to complete your 3rd downs pretty much every time because that's exactly where you want to be. 3rd downs, they were 9 of 16. That was quite high. Florida State were 3 of 14. But this paints a picture. Win the clock battle, hard running of the ball, keep your drives going. Like the drives, one of them was 9 minutes long. Florida State this year have 7 drives, I think it is now, of more than 6 minutes conceded, and 6 of them have resulted in points. They can't stop the run, but Boston College seem to have got the formula right. Castellanos only threw for 110 yards, 2 touchdowns. Doesn't need to be crazy with it if you run the ball the way they do. And crucially for them, we mentioned the penalty problems last year, 230 yards of penalties. 1 penalty this year for 5 yards. Lots changed. They've changed what they needed to, but outside they're still the same team, and they did it just right here.
Yeah, they didn't win by doing anything fancy. They just did the basics well, very well, and disciplined. I'd say don't give away any cheap penalties. Don't encourage Florida State by giving them any sort of momentum or any little gimmies. Like I say, they all did their job. They all kept their nose down, kept their nose clean, didn't get involved in any silliness or anything when they could have done, because they could have, like I say, got a bit big for their boots running that well on them. They could have been a bit chippy, but no, they stuck to the game plan. They did really well. And on the money downs, as we call them, 3rd and 4th down, yeah, they were brilliant. Like you say, they were drive enders. And like you say, a team that is struggling offense, a couple of 3-and-outs, you'll break their spirit pretty quickly if they're not able to get a few drives under their belt. And their defense, yeah, on the field too long, runs out of steam. And in the end, it's a vicious cycle in it that just always
Yes.
continues. You go 3-and-out, you punt, your defense has a 6 minute drive, they're knackered. They need the offense to buy a bit of time. 2.5 minutes later, oh, we've got to go back out again.
And it creates mistakes. Like Novell, I think there were 8 minutes left in the 3rd quarter. They were at midfield. They were 4th and 7. He had DJ throw it. He got picked. It went right back the other way to the 25, and they scored off it. You make mistakes when you're in trouble because you're trying to keep your offense on the field, and the indiscipline set in. They had two false starts from the center because DJU was clapping weirdly and was getting the cadence all wrong. The right guard got pulled by Norvell because he hit someone off the ball, 15-yard penalty. When they were driving late on trying to save it on a 4th and 5, it became 4th and 20. They had to punt it. They had a kickoff infraction. Guy runs into a lead blocker for Boston College, knocks him off the ball completely unnecessarily, turns a touchback to the 25 into a touchback at the 40, and they scored from that as well. Like, the indiscipline's setting in now and the frustration's setting in, and this
It
could
makes you
all...
wonder, how quickly do they think about QB change? How many games would it take? Do they come out of week 3 and they look terrible? Do you go straight to week 4 and bring in, like, say, is it Brock? Like, say,
Doak,
how long do you give him?
Doak Campbell was chanting, "We want Brock," after the second quarter. They wanted DJU out after the second. He missed, like, a lot of it, again, there were a lot of drop passes on his part, but there were some big misses as well. And Doak Campbell was quieter than I've ever heard it in my life. Dead. You wouldn't even know there were Florida State fans in there in the fourth. Even their annoying as ass band stopped playing at one point. And you're like, this is just eerie. It's weird. Could Travis really have been? But guess it just goes to show you, kind of like when Jameis was there, a quarterback sometimes does make the whole culture.
Yeah, it's very interesting. Like I said, I thought it was a very safe pair of hands. I thought it was a good idea to bring him in, but yeah, right now they're just not clicking. They're not on the same page, and yeah, he's making mistakes. And when he does get the ball out, the guys are letting him down. And unfortunately, yeah, the quarterback will always take all the blame because he's the common denominator for all their problems, even if there's a lack of a run game. Unfortunately, he's going to be the fall guy. And I like to say Norvell is going to at some point feel obligated to try change him and see if that sparks it.
Yeah, yeah, it's worrying times. As I say, Memphis and Seth Hennigan are going to look at this and go, you know what, boys? We've
Yeah,
got a free hit in
they're very
Tallahassee here.
vulnerable right now. But they do
Yeah.
say, like you say, when an animal's backed into its corner, it's most dangerous.
Mm.
Coming out of week 3, they're backed into a corner and they need to come out, like say, like
Because they've got Clemson and they've got an away trip to Miami coming up, so that could be season done within a
yeah,
month.
the season
So
could very quickly unravel to God, we're just trying to make a bowl game.
yes, indeed. So, but Boston College, great. They're getting back to how they look and how we know them to be. Those trenches. Azira Aku had a sack, had 4 other quarterback pressures. Akpala on the other side looks really good. The D tackles were good. Offensive line looks tremendous. Just bullied Patrick Payton, Joshua Farmer. Of course, you got some big names there. You got Drew Kendall, the center, who's the center to watch out for in next year's draft. His dad played for the Jets for years in the late 90s, early noughties. So he's got, you know, NFL blood in him, and he's also got Boston College offensive line blood in him. Drew Kendall's a big name to watch out for. But yeah, I'm excited about this BC team. Let's see how they do going forward, staying in the upset corner. And now we get to talk, Ryan, about a quarterback that you like. And I'm pretty sure this is a prediction you kind of half mentioned last week was going to happen. And this is a team we both like, who we've predicted to win the Mountain West. Talk about the Mountain West being a good conference. UNLV
Yeah,
traveling
I said they're going to Houston and they cause them a lot of problems.
traveling to Tadeko, causing them a lot of problems. Well, UNLV went in there and smacked them 27-7. They pretty much blanked out, and I'm pretty sure Houston scored really late on in this one, if I remember. I could be wrong. Let me just check. No, they scored with a minute to go. That was it. They blanked them out for 59
Houston have a
minutes.
great
And
quarterback as well.
Who made look bang average. So, of course, UNLV, the quarterback battle was won late on by Matthew Sluka, the Holy Cross transfer. And, you look at the stats, and 6 of 13, 71 yards, 2 touchdowns and a pick, but he ran for
They don't
60
tell the
yards
story.
on the
They're very
day.
underwhelming
Yeah,
stats, but yeah, it shows, like you say, how he's able to control a game without racking up yardage.
exactly. And the Go-Go relies on running the football primarily at its core. And you look at how they did in this one. So passing yards 113, 200 rushing yards to Houston's 50. This is a defensive line that came in absolutely dominated from start to finish. They even threw some trick plays in there. I think one of the wide receivers had a 50-yard pass as well. But this is where the big players all showed up. Their linebacker, Jackson Woodard, who's the standout on the defense, 3 sacks and 11 tackles on the day. Jalen Catalon, the big safety signing from Arkansas, who never quite worked out there. He picked off Donovan Richards twice on the day, where he went 15 of 30 for 135 and 2 interceptions. They pulled him in the end. And their running backs, nothing. Zion Chris, 3 carries, 16 yards. Rashawn Sanford, 4 carries, 13 yards. Parker Jenkins, 2 carries, 17 yards. This UNLV team is good, but its stars all performed.
Yeah, I say Jackson Woodard had 2.5 sacks last season. He's had 3 in a game. Like I say, he was all over the show. They blitzed him. They stunted him. He was faking dropping into coverage. Like I say, he was getting around the outside. The running backs weren't able to pick up when he blitzed. They weren't able to get him. He was playing constant havoc in the backfield. Like I say, he was really giving Donovan Smith absolutely no chance to operate. And yeah, Jalen Catalon, who was once considered a high draft pick. Injuries, though, kind of derailed that last time at the Razorbacks. Big pickup for UNLV. Like I say, with a pair of interceptions here. Like I say, when they did try to move the ball down the field, they were just snuffed out. And yeah, like I said, 200 yards of rushing. You can control the clock. You can control the tempo. You can slow things really down. You can make your drives methodical, and then you can speed them up when you need to. It says a lot that one of the best receivers in the nation had 2 catches for 11 yards, and they won by like 3 scores. That's how little this season they may not rely on him to be good. And as much as I want Ricky White to be a great draft player, like you say, he may see his production fall this year, but the team may get better because they're going to now try to find other ways to win than just throw it to him for like 1,400 yards. Sluka's probably not going to do that because he is someone that you're going to have plays designed around him where he pulls, where he keeps counters and things like that. Yeah. So yeah, very good performance. Like I say, on the road as well. Everyone knows the Cougs. It's a really hard place to go. Like I say, so it's quite good. So yeah, great start to them. And yeah, they are a real serious contender to win the Mountain West. And if they win the Mountain West, like I said, depending on their record, they have a super dark horse for number 12. If they went 12-1, 13, no, they'll be firmly in that condition to get that 12th spot with the playoffs.
Yeah, and I don't think anyone's going to really want to play them because I know I overstate this all the time, but that the offense Brennan Marion runs there is unique. No one else runs it, and very few people know how to play against it. It's just, it's just relied. It's high tempo running, but with a quarterback who is also a dual threat quarterback who can throw it. So you have absolutely no idea what's coming, and you've got no time to prepare for it. And a strong Power 4 team like Houston had no answer. So, this train is going to carry on rolling for as long as someone's going to have to find a way to stop the go-go. But very well done to UNLV there. And then, oh no, there's 2 more. So 13.5 point favorites, Virginia Tech traveling to Vanderbilt. Now, I'm pretty sure we both said this was a disrespectful line to Vanderbilt the other week. Vandy are a joke. They are an easy target when it comes to SEC and stuff like that because they do lose a lot of games. But they brought in Brian Vincent as their offensive coordinator this year, and he just happened to bring across with him his quarterback room from New Mexico State. And we talk about, Sluka making a name for himself on his debut. I mean, what about Diego Pavia? Has gotten the starting job at Vanderbilt. Like, they had their own guy there, but they've brought him in. They trust the OC. They've plugged him straight into this offense. They were 17-0 up early, and you're thinking, oh, here we go. This is something going on for Vanderbilt here. Then Virginia Tech roared all the way back and then took the lead. And then going into the fourth quarter, they were up by 7. But then Vanderbilt were able to take it into overtime, where they were able to score on the first drive, and Virginia Tech were not able to answer. It was a fun game, but Diego Pavia on his debut, 12 of 16, 190 yards, 2 touchdowns, and rushing, he led the team, 26 carries, 104 yards, and a touchdown. He like Luka, is a bona fide dual threat quarterback. And this offense ran really well. 180 yards nearly on the ground, 190 yards through the air. They used Eli Stowers in this one. He's like the Taysom Hill clone they brought along with them. 2 catches, 46 yards for him. Quincy Skinner Jr. had 72 yards and a touchdown. And their defense made plays when it needed to. They had 5 sacks on the day against Virginia Tech. They had a takeaway as well, but this kind of disrespectful line to Vandy. Brian Vincent has done a tremendous job at New Mexico State, turning them from independent to CUSA championship guy. They've brought in a very competitive offensive coordinator here with a very dangerous quarterback, and I think a lot of people are going to unwisely sleep on Vandy this year. They fought really hard to win this one.
Yeah, it was a good game. It was a really strong contest. And for the most part, like I say, it was an even contest. Weird, I'm reading an article that Brent Price said that Kyron Drones left the game with an injury. He wanted to go back in, but he wouldn't let him, even though he seemed okay. So they went with Slee. And I think they could have won because Kyron, like I say, had like 300 plus passing. Like I say, he was having a good game. And I saw people, because of Kyron Drones, putting Virginia Tech in as like the 12th team in the playoffs in some of their preseason. They were so high on Tech. But yeah, Vandy did really well. They traded blows with them. They got over adversity, like say that the game-winning field goal missed, like say that takes mental capacity to then settle for overtime, get the job done. And yeah, Vanderbilt, I've always been one of those teams like, oh, we've got Vandy next, so you can chalk that up as a win. And under Ken Seals Jr., like their former QB, they caused upsets. Like they said, they looked good. The Commodores in recent years, they have got better. And it's kind of time like say, you got to take them a little bit more seriously. They've got some good recruits, got a good player. Now they've got a great quarterback, a good offensive scheme. Like I say, I don't know the ceiling. It's impossible to know the ceiling in the SEC. In SEC play, it's not going to be massively high. Like I say, if they're in any other conference, I would feel better about placing them higher. But yeah, they're no longer here to make up the numbers. I think they would flourish from leaving the SEC and going elsewhere in a realignment. I think that'd actually help their chances vastly. I think that'd be really good if they could go a chance to compete somewhere. But yeah, it was a very good game. Two good sides put on a good game. It would have been better. It would have been maybe a different outcome if maybe drones don't get hurt, but I don't know that for sure. But yeah, two teams that I think should have good years. Like I said, I'd like Vanderbilt to build on this. Take this with momentum. Like I say, in Pavia, I'd like to go out there and have a really, really good year and put his name now more in the mouths of the scouts and like say the Bulls before the draft, like say those are kind of things he needs to aim for now, thinking about what he's going to do life after college because it's a credible option now, like you say, that he could be playing pro football in a couple of years in one league or another.
I mean, dare I say, he's taking like the Rice Plumlee route. I mean, very good dual threat guy, probably
Yeah.
better with his legs, but serviceable with his arm. And Plumlee's getting looks in on NFL
Yeah, he
rosters.
got picked up by I think I said he was at Seattle. Like say camp, he was on their practice squad a while. So yeah, it's definitely a good route for him, yeah.
Yeah, absolutely. And again, just to kind of keep mooting the point about this, Vanderbilt, 10 minutes more possession. Why? 181 rushing yards to Virginia Tech's 75. Stop the running the ball. You're right. Kyron Jones threw for about 330 yards, but if you can't run the ball, you score too quick, your defense gets gassed. It's just a formula that's tried and tested. You run the ball well, you just so much increase your chances of winning. But well done to Vanderbilt there. And then a very curious team may be emerging this year. We mentioned them last week because they should have beaten Power Four opposition at home on their first week, and they didn't because they made some mistakes and ballsed it up, and you're like, oh God, here we go. Typical them. Now they've just gone out and beaten the Sun Belt champions on the road when they were unfavored by 8 points, 8-point road dogs. We're talking about Nevada. Now, a lot of people don't like Nevada in terms of the team at the moment. I'm pretty sure they're projected to finish bottom of the Mountain West, but they nearly beat SMU the other week. It was a good performance, just marred by a few mistakes.
One
But
dodgy
then
drive turned that game, yeah.
you come back and then you knock off the Sun Belt champions who nobody can beat. New coach, lost players. But this game looked, I mean, for all intents and purposes, Troy were 14-0 up with 30 seconds to go in the first half. Nevada had done nothing. There were two touchdowns. Damian Taylor had he had a receiving touchdown. Gerald Green had ran in for a rushing touchdown. But with 25 seconds left in the half, Nevada scored a touchdown. Brandon Lewis to Jace Henry. They missed the field goal, so they're down 14-6. But then in the next half, they get three of the next four scores. So Patrick Garwell, the third 1 yard run from him there. Then they go for a 2-point conversion, which levels the game up. Troy get a field goal with 7 minutes left in the third quarter. So they're 3 up. But then two unanswered touchdowns from Nevada. So Patrick Garwell the third again, 22-yard run for a touchdown. Then Brendan Lewis finds Marcus Bellion for a 7-yard touchdown with 13 minutes left in the fourth quarter. And at this point, it's 28-17 to Nevada. They completely turned this game on its head. With 6 minutes left, Troy get a field goal to reduce it to 28-20. And then with 21 seconds left, they're really trying to hammer it in at the end of the game. Devontae Ross gets a receiving touchdown from Bruce Crowder, 16 yards out. They go for the 2-point run conversion to tie the game up, but Nevada stuffed them, in which traditionally is a team that runs the ball really well. And they come away with a 28-26 win on the road to Troy. And now you look at this Nevada team, it's got a seemingly star running back in Savion Red, who had a 100-yard rushing performance in this game. He also had a good first week. He had 11 carries for 135 yards. He was going at a mere 12.2 yards per carry. Patrick Garwell, the backup, had 2 rushing touchdowns, 53 yards on the day, going at just a smidge under 6 yards per carry. And Brendan Lewis is emerging as a very competent quarterback. He went 17 of 20, 158 yards, 2 touchdowns, no turnovers. And you look at this team now and you're like, actually, there's a good team here. A good quarterback. He's got a good pair of running backs. They're a disciplined team who aren't giving away penalties. They're running the ball strong. They're throwing the ball well. The offense is dynamic. And the defense is playing against some really good sides and not giving up a hell of a lot of points. We've got to be intrigued about this team now, surely. Color me intrigued.
Yep, so last season, Nevada in 12 games only held teams to less than 30 points 3 times. They've done it in 2 out of 2 weeks. Like I say, their defense has vastly improved in just 2 weeks. They've got far more competitive. They only had 1 or 2 one-score games last year. Like I say, 2 out of 2. Like I say, far more competitive. Last year, Lewis only had 2 passing touchdowns on the year. He's got 4 through 2 games. Like I say, he's already looking. Last year was only 55.5% completion. He's already at 67.4. All major categories through 2 years, vastly improved, and those are great signs for this year. Their defense is looking good. Their quarterback is playing with confidence. He's got a run game to complement them. Last year was a disaster. They're going to smash last year easily. They're already a much better team. And like I said, they're going to reap the rewards of that this year. Like I said, these get into a bowl game, winning a bowl game is very much in their own hands this year. They were nowhere last year. They were cast adrift. And like I said, they were on the wrong end of a lot of one-sided losses last year. They're already far more competitive, even the games they win and lose. Yeah, much better side this year. Like I said, they deserve a lot more respect. It's not the same team as it was in 2023. And anyone that thinks they are or is going to treat them like they are, they could be in for a rude surprise.
Yeah, absolutely. So, Nevada, you are gaining our respect week by week. This is a good team you seem to have down there. Let's see how they get on when the Mountain West schedule comes along. But, I mean, Troy are better anything than the Mountain West has to offer. So if you're going to go on the road and beat them there, you sure as hell can pretty much beat anybody in the Mountain West on your day. So that was it for the upsets. Only 4 really there. Moving down, though, into the Survivor Suite, which I'm calling it this year. This is for teams who nearly lose to, much lesser opposition. This is where you got lucky. And there's a lot of teams in here this week, and one who I'm pretty sure I've forgotten to put in here, who I'm going to add, but I'm going to go through them all, and then we'll talk about some of these teams and games in question, but the first one, and I've put them in there because I'm trying to be unbiased. My NC State are in here. They beat Western Carolina 38-21. But again, I don't know my FCS football, but every time I see the Catamounts play, right, they're a damn good football team who seem to be trenched up really well. If we didn't have Kevin Conception, who's the best wide receiver in the nation, by the way, with 3 touchdowns on the day, we lost this game. We were losing for big portions of this game, and I was just like, "Oh my God, this is going to be terrible." But this Catamounts team, they don't seem to do much in the SCS, but every time they play big opposition, they come to play, and their trenches are incredibly difficult to break down.
Yeah, they're more of a big occasion team. Like I say, they kind of save themselves when it really matters against, like I say, the bigger opposition. They go out there and try and give them a really good game. But yeah, they were very good on the day. Like I said, they gave a lot of problems. Like I say, 360 yards of offense. They did really well. Uh, so it was a fun game. I've watched the highlights and their defense. Like I say, lots of defended passes, lots of tackles for loss. They were very good in their secondary. They were sticking to the receivers like glue, and they were getting in the backfield. Yeah, and it was. Yeah, the numbers don't say it, but it wasn't the easiest debut for Grayson McCall. Like you say, his QB rating was only 48.8 because he only went 26 of 40. So he wasn't overly accurate on the day, but when he was, like you say, he was getting guys open, like you say, big catches. But yeah. And ball security for NC State, 3 fumbles on the day. Like I say, they got one back, but yeah, not the best. Like I said, they did give Western. They're kind of playing with their food. They kind of kept Western Carolina around way too long when they should have put them away a lot easier. And in the end, yeah, I was supposed to be pretty relieved to get out of there.
I could have strangled the commentators. They kept going on about how Grayson McCall's one of the most accurate, like, ball keeping quarterbacks in the nation who never turns the ball over. And then he turned the ball over. I'm just like, yeah, commentator's curse, of course. That was going to happen. Mile marker
Oregon,
goes, yeah. Oh, this few, I'm getting in there. Mile marker just says good for Nevada, often in the Afterthought League. Yeah. So the others in here. Why the hell did I not put them in here? I must have missed that, but they will go in. So Michigan State, 16-10 winners at home over Florida Atlantic. They were up big in this one, but nearly won. Northwestern at home to Miami of Ohio, only winning 13 points to 6. Old Dominion nearly upsetting South Carolina. SEC opposition on the road. That finished 23-19. Arkansas State beat Central Arkansas 34-31 at home, but Central Arkansas got screwed by the refs, and the league has issued an apology to them for a call they made on their last drive, which kind of messed the game up for them there. Middle Tennessee at home to Tennessee Tech only won by one score, 32-25. UCLA escaping from the Hawaiian Islands with a tiny 16-13 victory over Timmy Chang's men there. Louisiana Tech only one score winners over Nichols at home, 25-17. Texas State only one score winners at home over Lamar, 34-27, and New Mexico State only one score winners at home to Southeast Missouri State. That finished 23-16. But I mean, okay, I didn't put this in here, but there's 2 Big 10 teams who really struggled this week. But Oregon, for me,
it's
I don't
crazy
know about
because
you.
the
Are
stats
they
are crazy, and they only won by 10 points against an FCS team.
are they for me, they're top of my fraud alert list this year now. I don't know about you, but so the Oregon Ducks were playing not Idaho, it was
Idaho
Idaho,
Vandals.
wasn't it? The Idaho
Nearly
Vandals. They
500
won.
yards of offense, 4 sacks, and all they could muster was 24 points and beat an FCS team by 10 points. How does that work? How does that make sense?
And Idaho had 217 yards of offense and less
Yeah.
than 50 rushing yards.
They
And
doubled up on them.
Oregon had 40 minutes of possession. Idaho had 20. You'd have kind of thought death by, death by clock. But the Idaho Vandals, they were in this till right near the end. They had, was it the turnover late on in this one that got them? But Oregon had to come back.
In the red zone, Oregon were just dreadful.
Yeah, I don't know what's going on with them, but it was 14-7 in the third. Then they got the field goal. That was it. They got the touchdown with about 10 minutes to go, and it was a 3-point game. And it took that really good Tez Johnson catch from Dylan Gabriel to make it a 10-pointer. But they were driving right up till the end of this game, and Oregon looked terrible. They're right at the top of my fraud list for this year, but they're survivors. Absolutely no doubt about that. They had no right to be looking to be getting beaten at home by Idaho. I think the line was nearly 40 that they were favorited in that game, and they just were not able to. But Idaho, in fair play to them, their defense was amazing. 40 points, 40 minutes on the field against Oregon and you give up 24. Most elite Pac-12 defenses couldn't keep them under that last year with probably half the time on the field that they had. So that kind of goes to show you that Vandals team is big. But then the other one we've got to mention, Michigan. Like, we've got to mention Michigan as well, right? Because Michigan obviously playing Fresno State at home. And it wasn't a one-score game. It was a two-score game, but Fresno State, right up to the end, were driving in this one. And of course, it was the Will Johnson 100-yard, you know, pick six that really sealed it for them. But if Fresno State, who at time had converted that, that would have been a one-score game with just 4 minutes to go. Now, obviously, Michigan looking like, they're missing. They didn't have the quarterback. There's nothing seemed to. It seemed to be weird. So they got Davis Warren playing. He's what, sixth-year guy now? It kind of feels like he's holding the fort till Alex Orji's ready to go. But 15 of 25, 118 yards, touchdown, and an interception for him. Orji did have a touchdown pass in this one, but Khalil Mullings got more carries than Donovan Edwards. You thought he was going to be the guy. He got 15 for 92 at 6 yards per carry. Donovan Edwards did nothing in this one. Fresno State couldn't run the ball to save their lives. We're talking about DTs playing well. The Florida State DTs are not holding up their end of the bargain in the run game. Mason Graham and Kenneth Grant look like absolute monsters, and they stopped Fresno State from doing anything between the tackles. Mikey Keene threw for 240 yards and a touchdown, but also two picks as well. The really costly one at the end. But they look like a team they're reloading, right? You lose your star running back, you lose your star quarterback, you lose a big chunk of your offensive line, you've lost players all over the team. They looked jittery while they bed these new guys in, and I'm not sure Davis Warren's the guy to take this offense forward. It feels like they should just put Orji in and run with him.
Yeah, I've seen people calling for Alex Orji already. They like what he does with the legs, and they think he can learn passing the ball later. I think he gives them more of a spark right now. Yeah, I'm not usually over keen on, like you say, placeholders. Even if you think a quarterback's better, you go with the experienced option. Like you say, sometimes cutting your nose to spite your face, it just doesn't work. Like you say, the ceiling of that offense is very limited, Warren. Like I say, Donovan Edwards got touches, did not with them. Maybe a bad week for him. I did think maybe I was naive to think he's just going to come in and absolutely destroy the world. Like say, like Blake Corum did. Even though as a tandem, they worked incredibly well together. Maybe he is a good 1B, but maybe he can't be the 1A. Like you say, I'm not sure. But yeah, Zavada, the kicker, he got him out of a hole. Like you say, he was money. I think they're going to rely on Dominic very much this year. He looks like a pro kicker already. Like I say, he'll be one of those that's making a name for himself. But yeah, if you take off his 9 points, like I say, it's only a 21-10 game. So yeah, their defense is going to be relied on incredibly heavy this year. Like I say, their defensive line generates pressure, and then the secondary, like I say, is able to take the ball away.
And they found the kicker from Arkansas State, I believe he's from.
Yeah.
So clutch. You've got to find these lower teams, but they seem to have found a clutch kicker there. But there's a lot of problems
expected
to
this in
solve.
Michigan, like you say, with their 5-6 QBs that could all be
Yeah.
start. I knew there'd be teething issues.
Yeah, I feel like that. I think they're going to be fine. I think they're just working out issues on there. I think for
If they'd have had a
Oregon,
tougher game week 1, then they'd been in trouble. But well, week 2 probably couldn't get any tougher right now.
I'm more
And
concerned about Oregon.
yeah,
They look, I don't know. 'Cause Dylan
Oregon had all the
Gabriel's not
means
it,
and the opportunity to put a team away
and they didn't.
and fail to. And even like say, Dylan Gabriel did absolutely nothing wrong. He did everything asked of him, and he still didn't look good, which is worrying.
And they had him throwing a lot of checkdowns and short. It didn't feel like they were asking him to throw downfield very much either. Felt very conservative the way, just odd the way they were playing it. But
Yeah, they
the
played it far too safe. They were happy to win and just get the win under their
yeah.
belt. So next week, I expect them to take the handbrake off a little bit.
Mm. The important thing for Michigan, though, is the DTs. They are critical to this team this year. If they carry on stopping the run the way they did, they will be just fine in most games. I'll give them opportunity to win games, and they just both look like absolute monsters. But two teams who struggle there. But back to the original list of teams who survived there. There's a couple of names on there from teams who we've been high on, and these teams are getting better. And I mean, where better to start than in Hawaii? Like Timmy Chang, every year this team is getting better. And they had a bit of a layup in week one. They've got Power Four opposition coming to them this time, and local. UCLA know those climes and temperates very well. They're not that far away in the grand scheme of things. Ethan Garbers is a very good quarterback. That there's still a good team that's got a lot of talent on it, but Hawaii, I don't want to say they forced them down to the level. They forced them into a slugfest. I mean, neither team really ran the ball much, which is Hawaii's problem. Just 66 yards for UCLA and 77 for Hawaii, but they went toe to toe with each other. There was only 70 yards difference in the offense. And once again, Hawaii are just making it incredibly difficult for teams to play against. And this was a team that got rolled over every week before Timmy Chang really went there. They did win games, but I don't know. I think he's finally found something there. I know they've still got to sort the run game out, but the defense is a lot better. It's playing a lot better this year. They had one of the worst ones last year, and the offense still seems good. Shaker had another 200-yard game. He had a couple of picks, but UCLA, it's a really good defense. If they could sort that run game out, they'd be fine. But Pafeli Ashlock, 112 yards touchdown, star receivers doing well, star quarterbacks doing well. Like this Hawaii team also may be legit in the Mountain West this year.
Yeah, they gave a very good account of themselves against a team that offensively, UCLA, I think is going to struggle massively this year. But defensively, very stout. Like I say, they're going to be one of those teams where they win a lot of low scorings or like one score games. I can see the Bruins being very difficult to beat in those scenarios. So Hawaii gave a very good account of themselves. Like I say, offense good, move the ball through the air. Yeah, run game needs work, but that's no surprise or no secret for them. It's what they need to work on. Receivers got free. Defense, like I say, very busy in the backfield, generating turnovers. That was really good from them. So yeah, I think they're going to be a credible threat, Hawaii, to a lot of teams. And yeah, a lot of teams don't like the travel. Like I say, they don't like playing them. And when I look at Hawaii's schedule, I think it's very favorable. I
Hmm.
look at it and I see Utah State. They're terrible. Like I say, Nevada, like I say, difficult but beatable. Washington State, all at sea right now. San Diego State, Sam Houston, Northern Iowa. These are all very winnable games. Hawaii should be winning all them games. And then, like you say, the big tests. You got UNLV, Fresno, Boise State, New Mexico. Yeah, like I said, it's all there if they want it. Like I
Hmm.
say, and then they can go up against the big boys. But like I say, there's some low-hanging fruit there, and I expect Timmy Shank to go out there and be like, no mercy. The low-hanging fruit's there, go pluck it. And then when the bigger boys come around, then let's show them, like I say, we're not here to make up the numbers anymore.
No, exactly. They look really good, and I just continue to be impressed by the job he does there, as I do at Old Dominion. Ricky Rahn, another one of these coaches who's creating something out of nothing with a team that's traditionally not been good. A 4-point loss on the road to SEC South Carolina. Like their quote, Lenoris Sellers, 10 of 23 for 114 yards. That was it. They stopped him throwing the ball. I watched some of this, and it was Raheem Sanders, he's great when he's on his day, was kind of the one who burst this open. But Old Dominion, more offensive yards, more passing yards, still had over 100 yards on the ground, more yards per play, 50% on third down efficiency, same amount of first downs, 100% on fourth downs. And they lost the time of possession battle by 11 minutes, but only by 4 points. And, South Carolina really had to grit this one out. It was a touchdown with 6 minutes to go. They were losing this game. And Old Dominion are another team in a very tough Sun Belt conference. It's almost like they've been they've been molded into a formidable outfit because of the teams they have to play against. But Ron and them had a shot at upsetting South Carolina here. That's just how far they've come under him. There's some magnificent coaching jobs been done out there.
I think Shane Beamer's on quite a warm seat. He's boosters and that in the last 2, 3 years, they've invested heavily in him. A lot of portal talent has passed through the Gamecocks, and he has not made the most of it. They've not made much ground, have they, in the SEC race, despite some big players. Like I say, they've got one of the best running backs in the nation. Like I say, they went out there and the boosters probably had to open a big fat checkbook to get Rocket Sanders because he could have gone to every team in the nation and he decided the Gamecocks. So beating ODU in no respect to them by 4, it's not really acceptable. And like you say, Shane Beamer is not going to last very long if this is the kind of performances they put out when they should be trying to blow these sides away. So yeah, it's a poor start for them on the year. But for ODU, like I said, Old Dominion, it's great for them. That will fill them with tons of confidence going into the rest of their schedule. That they didn't get the win, but they found ways to make life difficult for them. Like you say, sometimes to just be a nuisance and like you say, irritate other sides is a way to hang on to a game. And yeah, there's things they need to work on. Like I say, turnovers, it was a bit sloppy. But like I said, their defensive line were very good. They generated a lot of pressure. They got sacks. So yeah, a lot of positives they can take from that loss. More positives than South Carolina will take from the win, that's for sure.
Yeah, absolutely. There's some teams who've got to go back to the drawing board this week, say Michigan
Yeah.
State, but
South
they're
Carolina,
under
like
a
I
new
say,
head
they don't
coach.
have time to even, like say,
No.
rest on their laurels because you look at their next 2 games,
Yeah.
straight into big boy SEC play.
Yeah, absolutely. So, yeah, a lot of teams who nearly got upset this week. So Michigan State, Northwestern, they need to be better. Arkansas State sure as hell need to going into the Sun Belt season. They should have lost probably to Central there. So, some really good games that went on here. We're now into the pick watch games, our last segment of this. And for the first time in league history, I'm on top of the pile, joint on top of the pile. There were some shocks this week. There were some good ones. We've
This
talked
was
about a
bad.
few already, and I think we owe an apology because we've got a Minnesota fan in the building. I can never remember who it is, but we were talking about Minnesota and how they've got every reason to be positive this year. And one of the reasons why was, my words, they've got one of the best kickers in the nation in Dragon Kesic. And yeah, UNC came into town this week, slight favorites to win that one. I think Minnesota had actually gained the betting line by a point before this one, but this was ugly. This was Minnesota football as you know it. There were 3 touchdowns in the second quarter of this one when Minnesota went 14-7 up. There was not another touchdown for the rest of the game. It was field goals. The MVP, probably Noah Burnett, the UNC kicker, who nailed 4 in the second half, 29, 52, 42, and 45. But Dragan Kisic had the opportunity to walk them off in this one, and he missed. But Max Brosmer's debut, what did you make of him and how he did? I mean, you look at the stat line, 13 of 21, 166 yards, nothing, unconventional there. Had a rushing touchdown. What did you make of him?
Uh, Looked a bit timid. But I understand that. I think he was probably told, like say, just don't make any mistakes. Like say, in your first game, try not to just don't turn the ball over. And he played like a guy that was trying his best not to turn the ball over. If I'd have known Darius Taylor wasn't going to play, like I said, a star running back had been injured before that, I would have not gone with the Golden Gophers. I didn't find that out until I literally looked and checked the score after a quarter, and they're like, "Oh yeah, he never even played." I was like, Like, they don't stand a chance now. Like I say, he was like their main guys I think was going to go through. But yeah, not a disastrous first step to FBS football for him because he wasn't the reason he lost. He completed some balls. Yeah, check downs, like say, things like say crossing routes, like say some safety blanket throws, but they were hardly going to throw the entire playbook at him. Not going up against good level opposition either. So he
Yeah.
didn't exactly have a run game to fall back on. So yeah, it was a game where, yeah, special teams running game kind of was the constant theme throughout. It's 2 teams trying to find their way under center.
Yeah, my reason for going UNC was Amari and Hampton and Amari and Hampton only, and 30 carries, 130 yards, 4.5 per carry. Maybe not spectacular numbers by either count, but he's the one who kept the ball, got the first downs, got the times they needed. If it wasn't for Amari and Hampton, they would have lost. UNC looked terrible. Minnesota looked like a team who are a new offense trying to find themselves, so they'll get it right, but. Kisich, yeah, his tank stopped this week, so he needs to get that background really quickly. But I won it, thankfully. I was watching the end of that one and I cheered when that one went in.
Don't know how many more
Um,
performances like that PJ Fleck will have in him this year.
no, I don't either. TCU at Stanford. I think we both fell into the Stanford trap for this
Yeah,
one.
that wasn't even close.
TCU won 37 to 24. Elikai Emmanuel had a 100-yard day. He was his usual good self, and Ashton Daniels was not too bad when it came to throwing the football, but they just couldn't get off the
Hoover was
field.
very good.
Yeah, Josh Hoover. I didn't really know as much about him, I must admit, coming into this one, so I wasn't sure what the QB sitch was like, but 353 yards, two touchdowns for him. They seem to have found more in the receiving department as well. I think they had 200-yard receivers on the day. I think Jack Beck got about 140 yards. John Paul Richardson got 107. Savion Williams got 85. He's got three big targets there that he likes to aim at. And TCU's defense did enough. They got a few sacks, but we kind of got suckered in on that one. As we got suckered in, I don't want to spend long on this because,
Oh, we don't have to talk about
yeah.
Miami, Florida too much. That
Oh
was
no, 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 no. We're talking about Texas A&M first.
that was another clanger.
Texas A&M screwed us.
I
23-13
blame you
loss.
because all you've done is told me for weeks how you love Conor Weigman. I thought I'm gonna go with you for once here. You're enamored with him, and he goes out and
And now
he laid a big fat ostrich egg.
And now Ryan's never going to believe anything I say about a quarterback again. Just, that was my chance. I had my chance to shine and I failed. Notre Dame, we impressed. I thought they were all right. I didn't think they were great, but I think this was more Texas A&M being bad than Notre Dame being good.
Yeah, like you say, Riley Leonard was subpar, average, I suppose, really. But it was the wrong game on it. Like I say,
Mm,
I think a lot of people knew that Love was going to come in and actually potentially be a star this year for the Fighting Irish. Like you say, I think he's going to have a massive year as Jeremiah Love. So yeah, they really did lean on him when they had to. And then yeah, their defense was good. It took the ball away at A&M. They just didn't get anything going, did they? They
no,
kind of like I say they had to rely on Connor a lot last year. But yeah,
he
it was
was
a
bad.
it was a bad day for him. Yeah, like 40%. It
He was
just
bad. I rescind my views about him being a dark horse
said
Heisman
don't throw
candidate.
Xavier Watts way, and he didn't listen.
No, no, he did not, indeed. However, I did stick my neck out for A&M, but I stuck my neck out for another really underachieving franchise. You didn't. I did. One quarterback who did look damn good this week on another step up in opposition was Cameron Ward for Miami of Florida. 385 yards, three passing touchdowns, just one pick on the day for him. Mark Fletcher, the superstar running back, five-star recruit, two touchdowns on the day. Xavier Restrepo, 112 yards, a touchdown there. This Miami, Florida offense is humming. We know what Cameron Ward is, right? He is a great quarterback, and everywhere he goes, Incarnate Word, Washington State, now Miami, the offense flows with him, and Florida had absolutely nothing here. They annihilated them, and I fully believe Miami are going to go and win the ACC now because they just look the best all-round team of them all. But Florida, I mean, it's surely a matter of when till Napier's fired now, right? He started taking pot shots at the fans. When that happens, your job's nearly over.
Yeah. And also they've got the Gatorade, the reigning Gatorade Player of the Year, sat behind Graham Mertz and DJ Lagway.
Not not anymore. I think Mertz got
Is
a
he going to be named
concussion.
start? Could he play?
Mertz
Could he start next week?
he came into the game,
Yeah,
looked okay late on, but Mertz
yeah,
has a concussion, so
yeah. I I'm very interested to see. I think if this goes well for DJ, that's the end of Graham Mertz. And like I said, I'm not going to bash on Graham Mertz. Like you say, we knew he would crap at Wisconsin. We knew he wasn't going to be any better here. And anyone that fooled themselves into believing that, Like, yeah, you're a fool. Like I say, yeah, Graham. But yeah, lack of run game. Florida, they were rank. Like I say, that's all I can say. They were terrible. But seeing them under DJ Lagway next week, very interesting. This kid has got an unbelievable amount of hype for someone I don't know a lot about. Just won some awards. I think he'll offer a bit of spark. But yeah, Billy Napier, it feels like the clock is now ticking.
Yes, it does indeed. And Lisa has just asked about this next game. She goes, "Are we going to talk about Georgia today?" And yes, we're going to talk about Georgia, but maybe we're going to talk about Clemson a little bit more. I mean, we both expected a Georgia win here, but I mean, wow, did you expect a blowout? Georgia win 34-3. Now, this was actually a very competitive. In scoreline terms, it was fairly competitive for the first half. Georgia went up 6-0 in the half. Pair of Peyton Woodring field goals. One of them was from, I think, nearly 60. It was an absolute rocket, and he had yards to gain on that. But the second half came, and sometimes with Kirby's teams, they start off slow. I feel like his message at halftime was, stop playing with your food and kill them. And they did. I've just never seen Clemson manhandled like that before, ever, by anybody. This Georgia team we said might be the best he's ever had, and they might be right.
Yeah, I really enjoyed watching Georgia. Like I say, it's just a conveyor belt in it, just of guys stepping up at receiver that I've never heard about. Like I say, these random white skinny kids. Like I say, that guy London, like 45-yard touchdown just comes out of nowhere. And I've said it before, I'll say it again. I am not a kid club Nick Truther, and people need to start getting on board with that. For me, I've seen enough of him now to make a formed opinion. The kid ain't it. Like I say, and I don't think it's, like I say, I can't blame the team anymore. Like you say, he's had 2 years now to try become the leader, like you say, and get them going. Like I say, yes, they lack talent. Like I say, he's Dabo Swinney now on a hot seat for me. Yes, because like I say, it feels like maybe he's losing players or the guys aren't as performing like previous classes have. He was able to get the most out of guys recently, but it feels like they're struggling. Phil Mathers plugging away, but it's not doing anything. They're not, like I say, they can't rely on him. They're not chunk players. Their defense, it was totally exposed. I'd say they were not getting to Carson Beck. He was literally just chilling behind that offensive line. Barely laid a glove on the dude whatsoever. And then they got gashed by, like you say, speed players, crossers, fast guys. Like, yeah, they just got unraveled in every word of the sense. And it's a terrible look for Clemson. It feels like it's only downhill from there this year because, yeah, Georgia didn't even get out of third gear, really.
No. The scary thing was they had 7 guys rush the football, 11 guys targeted in the passing game, and you didn't even see the likes of Benjamin Urasek, who is probably going to be one of the best tight ends in the nation, maybe. It's the Stanford transfer, isn't he?
Yeah,
Is
he
he
could
Ben
be. Yeah,
Urasek?
joining a program that loves
And
tight ends.
he was a blocker in this. They didn't even begin to use him as a wide. It's like you said, they were in second gear and they're like, you know what? We're going to keep the flashy toys in the box because we don't need to bring the flashy toys out the box for this one. And they just look so damn good running the ball, passing the ball. Beck, I mean, 274 yards, 2 touchdowns. That's fine. It wasn't, oh my God, he's going to win a Heisman performance, and he still needs to have a few of those yet before we have this conversation. But I think just efficient is the word of the day. Just
Yeah,
efficient, cold, clean,
mistake-free
and
football.
they played
Malachi
with them for a
Starks,
bit.
I think he's
What
going to be a first-round pick next year.
that pick, that the pick he made was just
Went up and just
like
went up, like you say, ran the route for the receiver and just like you say, plucked it out of the air.
safeties don't make plays like that. Apart from Malachi Starks, who just was absolutely incredible. And I say this defense, it had so much pressure on the day. And again, you just look at where it's coming from. They've just got 5-star guys all over. They had, forgive me if I'm wrong for saying, 3 freshmen start on this defense. 3. And you give up 3 points to Clemson.
Couldn't tell.
Yeah. you did not know that this was a fairly young defense. Like I say, they had three freshmen start on here. So you had the star safety KJ Bolden. I think he was the third recruit in the entire nation
Yeah, he's a
in this
massive
class.
recruit. I
Played a
think he's a
full game.
five-star plus safety or
Yeah.
something.
He's the 5 star plus one. He played a full game. I think you got the cornerback who was in as well. I can never remember his name. Oh God, what was it? The 5 star corner played as well. But then you look at the big guys in there. Stackhouse played well. Michael Williams played well. He's twisted his ankle, hasn't he? So he's going
Yeah,
to
he
miss a
could miss a
game or
week or two.
two. Not much, but Mikel Williams looked a stud. Jalen Walker had a sack and a half. Um, Again, you just feel like you didn't see it all, didn't you? Which is scary. As on the flip side, Clemson, and there's been a lot of people talking about this now. I actually read a very detailed article on it the other day about Dabo. Like, people cannot forget what Dabo's. They were a mid-program before Dabo went there, like completely lost in the wilderness. And he's turned them into a powerhouse. But what they were discussing is about how college football land was when he got there. No NIL.
Oh,
Like
I
you,
know.
you recruit your own players, you get them to buy into your philosophy, you create your team that way, and he's dedicated to doing that. That's not the college football world we live in now. And maybe it's time for him to step down because it's not it, well, it is him, but he's just outdated now, and they need to start hitting the portal because you say no competition for quarterback. Like Klubnik should be under pressure for his job. He's not. Phil Maffer, fine, but that D line. How many great D linemen have come from that program over the years? How many great linebackers have come from that program over the years? Even secondary guys, and they don't have them now. It just feels like he's ran his course, and they need to make a change, or he's got to change his philosophy because they're not going anywhere otherwise.
No, he's going to have to. He's not going to win college football right now by going and getting the guys like remember like Hunter Renfrow. No one out there right now, a big team would go get a Hunter Renfrow, would they? They'll go get a Jeremiah Smith, like I said, the 5 star freshman. Like I said, he's going to have to break his own policy. Like you say, you're going to have to find more luxurious ways, be a bit more lucrative to what offer the guys. Like you say, and you're going to have to go out there and downright poach guys. You might have to bring in 10 new faces and hope they gel just to add a bit of a spark. Like you say, whether he likes it or not, like you said, the college football landscape has totally changed. And you can't just, like say, how long was Tyson Thomachan? They were just waiting, like, oh yeah, he's going to be the guy. We won't get a guy at the portal. He'll sit for 3, 4 years because eventually he'll be the guy, won't he? Want the guy? Ain't there no more.
Is it
Will
UMass?
Shipley, like I say, Will Shipley's been and gone. Great running back. Will they go out there and get Rocket Sanders? Will they go out there and get Tri-Steel Kyle Monangai? Like say, ring up his agent. Like say, come. No, we'll just stick with Phil Mather because Phil Mather is what we know. Is Phil Mather going to carry the ball 250 times for 1,455 yards this year? No, I highly doubt it. Those positions where you need to go out there and get the big household names, and they refuse to do that. And ultimately, yes, it's going to cost him his job this
Yeah,
year, next year, somewhere in the future, because right now, Clemson, they ain't coming back anytime soon. They ain't going to be anywhere near a natter in
no,
next X amount of years. They ain't even going to be in ACC contention.
no. And it's going to be interesting to see how far they could finish sixth, seventh in the ACC this year. If you look at some of the teams knocking around, like your Georgia
Klubnik
Techs are
this
doing
year, like I
well.
say, he's got to hit the ball. I
Yeah,
need to know if it's him or if it's Clemson. I think he
yeah.
needs to know himself. Is it him? Is it me? Or is it the team I'm in? And he'll be very highly recruited. Like I say, a lot of people will want him
Mm.
because they'll think of what they can be, but he's got to get out.
Yeah, yeah. And in the theme of is it me or is it him, it's a nice segue into LSU. Definitely feels like a him problem at LSU now, not a team thing, but once again, losing their season opener, obviously 2 years in a row, getting their ass handed to them by Florida State, much to Ash's delight, and they, you know, wasted
Five opening
opportunities to
game
win.
losses in a row for
And
the first time
now
in like 30 years.
and now USC and Miller Moss really starting for the first time Like he's got some game experience, but this is his first time leading this team unanimously, and there's been a lot said about him. Is he the guy? Is he going to be that? I'm not sure if this, answers any of that, but 27 of 36, 370 yards, a touchdown pass. They only rushed for 80 yards on the day. This was, think of LSU and their secondary, picked on all game long, picked on. Garrett Nussmeier threw for 304 yards, 2 touchdowns. He looks fine, but they just seem to have a problem with these opening day games against big teams. USC went after that secondary, which has been such a big, plus for them for years, but not anymore. And speaking of Harold Perkins, once again, more than double the snaps in coverage than pass rushing. It just feels like one of the most egregious wastes of talent ever at this point in time. I hate the Sam experiment. I hate Sam linebackers. They shouldn't exist. But he's surely not long for the chop now. He's got to hit the SEC hard this year and hit it fast.
Yeah, like I say, so what is he? A junior? He's gone in it. Harold is gone this year, and for me now, his body of work. I don't know. I think I just go pro. If I'm Harold Perkins right now at the end of this year, I might have a transfer. I said then I thought I'm excited for him. They've gone and got one of the best, like a really good defensive coordinator. Like I say, a guy that was at Missouri, like I say, was doing really good. I thought he'll play Harold right. 8 tackles, 7 of them assisted because he wasn't anywhere near the line of scrimmage. Only one solo tackle in the game because he had him going backwards, not forwards. And yeah, that is it's a war crime. Like I say, Harold Perkins is still got the potential to be one of the most disruptive players in the nation. And he's never going to live up to it, is he? We're never going to see the best of him in college because, like I say, this year, I'd just say screw it and go pro because he'll still do really well at the draft because he'll tear up the combine and someone will find a way to make him a star, but it's not going to be in the Valley, unfortunately. And yeah, very clinical, like you say. Miller Moss was like a surgeon. Like you say, he just picked them apart and didn't put the ball in harm's way at all. So yeah, very good win for USC, and their defense was good. So yeah, a great debut for them against a very difficult opponent. Yeah, LSU. Yeah, then it go back to the drawing board.
Yeah, they've got to find
Brian Kelly, like you
something.
say, yeah, Brian Kelly's gone at the end of the year.
Yeah, I think
I think I read
he's
somewhere like it's something like in his time. I think it's his time as a head coach. Like I say, he's only like 3-6 against like ranked teams on the opening day of the season. And now LSU have got like 0-4, 0-5 in the last 5 years. Like I say, he's a loser.
Yeah, absolutely. Just and old Notre Dame fans were laughing when he's gone, and now they seem to have good reason to. But yeah, we all got that wrong. Everyone bet on LSU on that, and that one did not come to fruition. One we all got right though, and there's only one player we need to talk about in this game. It was a 101-point game, so I was right. We did have 200-point games this weekend, but he's pretty much secured as one of our predictions this season already. Best running back in the nation, Ashton Gianti for Boise State. 56-45 winners over the Georgia Southern Eagles, but his stat line alone, 20 carries, 267 yards, 6 touchdowns, averaging 13.3 yards per carry. And if you want to throw an extra 4 yards on for receiving, it was over 270 yards on the day. And poor Sire Gaines, who had 12 carries for 110 yards and a touchdown at nearly 10 yards per carry. No one cares. Those stats are amazing. But Gianti, I mean, running back one. He could fight with all these power four guys coming into this draft. He could be first running back off the board. He is potentially a generational player, like they say.
Yeah. 5'9", 215. I don't think anyone will be put off by his size. Like you say, if it's not a first round pick next year, like you say, second round, it's good chance he's the first running back drafted. Like you say, they have video game numbers. They're just ludicrous what he can do. Like you say, as a runner, but also with the ball in his hands, just a natural threat at the backfield in every phase of the game. And he's going to be he's going to tear it up this year. He is going to destroy it. Like I say, as bad as the Boise State defense was, that's no one's talking about that, are they? No one even
No.
cares. No one's even criticizing them for having rank defense because
Yeah.
their offense was fantastic. Like I say, Madsen, I didn't know a lot about him. Like I say, he was okay. Like I say, the numbers were all right, but 370 yards of rushing, you can
Mm.
be as bad a quarterback as you want. You'll still win the game with those kind of numbers behind you.
Yeah, absolutely indeed. And then the final one I think I've got here in the pick watch. So we had Florida in there. I got this one. The Coastal Carolina Chanticleers blew the doors off the Jacksonville State Gamecocks 55-27. They had 300 rush yards themselves, only 250 passing through the air. Ethan Vasco there, but um, five guys over 40 yards rushing. Like that's ooh. Jacksonville State are a running team who can defend the run, and Coastal Cal have just put 300 down on them. We'll talk about all these teams in the Sun Belt who are putting their name out there this year. This is another one.
Yeah, that was a surprise to me. They blew him out the doors, like you say, and that's a serious statement of intent to everyone else around them. Like you say, we just took down one of the guys that had a couple of votes for first place. Like you say, don't discount us, don't discredit us, because we're going to be right there. And if you do overlook us or you're not ready for us, like you say, we'll ram it down your throat. So yeah, that was a fantastic win, and that just shows the race is completely wide open.
So Grandizer asks, who's Ashton Gionte's comp in the NFL?
Hmm.
So what,
Is
5'9", 215. So right. And I'm not saying this as a comp here, but
is that
Pete,
David Montgomery's build?
that is David Montgomery's build. Monty was an Iowa State running back,
Yeah.
so same area, not same area of the world,
Yeah.
but
Listed at 5'10", he's only 5 pounds heavier. So yeah, comparable pretty much. If he gains 10 pounds, yeah.
he's got Monty's build, but he's got Jahmyr Gibbs's receiving skills. Like this is how good he is. People have and when people say Barry's name, they use it in there, but he has Barry traits. Like his ability to get low and do his cuts and everything. Like he can change direction on a dime at full speed and not lose speed. Like he has some potential very, he could be a generational running back. He could. He stayed loyal to Boise State, but this is a place where he can run for days. Boise State produce NFL caliber running backs. So he's got Monty's build, but Gibbs's hands. And there is a legitimate chance he could go running back one in next draft, despite being a group of four guy. And there've been a dozen guys in the Power Four who are also elite as well. So that would be the closest we'd have there. So no other games you want to mention from this week? Are there any others that missed? Anything else you want to mention from week one before we move on?
Nope, just
No, I think
pretty
we're about there.
ridiculous week.
Yeah, so as I say, a lot of blowouts, but in between it, there's lots of meat to the bones of this, and there were some really good games in there. So hopefully that's a nice comprehensive view of week one for you all. Going to finish it off quickly with the week two preview. So we're going to do the pick watch fixtures first, and then have a look at any others that come to our attention. And it's a tough week this week. I'm very proud of how tough this is with the non-cons coming up. So the first game we've got on our docket here, BYU at SMU. So BYU are 1-0 on the season. They had a 41-13 win over Southern Illinois. SMU are 2-0. They had that very fortunate win over Nevada in week 0, but then had a more comprehensive 59-7 win over Houston Christian. Preston Stone and co seem to have finally hit the ground running there, but BYU, to their credit, their new quarterback is Jake Retzlaff. He threw for about 350 yards, 3 touchdowns in the last game there. But more importantly, they did run the ball very well. So they rushed for 180 yards. They passed for 350. It seems to maybe be the BYU of years gone by. SMU are 11-point favorites here, which I just don't buy at all. They don't match up well. So SMU struggled with Nevada because they ran the ball well, but their secondary was a little vulnerable as well. And this is a balanced team they're coming up against here. And these Big 12 teams are very plucky. BYU are tough to beat. You would say they're more gritty team than what SMU are. I think it's closer. Do you have an upset or are you going with the homeboys?
I'm already behind, so I'm going to have to go with the upset. I'm going to have to go with SMU because I already need to play catch
Oh,
up.
oh no, BYU's the upset. BYU are 11-point underdogs
Oh,
on the road.
which I
So you
don't
can
make sense. I suppose I'm going with the favourite then, SMU, even though I don't think they are the favourite.
No, I look at these two as well, and SMU at home are a bit of a different beast. I'm going to go SMU, but I'm not too confident in that. But again, BYU have played one team so far. I need to see what they're like against bona fide opposition first before I get too frisky about them. Next up on the docket. Texas Tech at Washington State. So we talked about Tech earlier in abundance. 1-0 on the season with a tiny, well, not a tiny, but a tiny margin, 52-51 overtime victory over Aberline Christian. Obviously, performance of the week to them. Washington State also 1-0, had a big 70-30 win over Portland State. Washington State favored by 2.5 here. But, right. Similar story for both these teams so far. Both have given up significant points at home to FCS opposition. Obviously, Texas Tech gave up 50, but Washington State gave up 30 as well. Their new quarterback, John Mattia. I mean, did you see his stat lines for the last game, that Portland game? He had 11 completed passes for 352 yards and 5 touchdowns, which probably goes more to show about the level of opposition they're up against. But Dickett's still there. He runs an air raid offense. That's how he plays. Texas Tech, they've got a more balanced offense. Obviously, they've got one of the best running backs in the nation in there as well, but they do like to sling the ball. But two teams with very suspect defenses so far, but two very high scoring offenses. And it is at Washington State's gaff. And generally speaking, they're a lot better at home than on the road. Washington State, as I say, favored by 2.5 here, but this has the potential to be a game of the week category. Like, probably get 80, 90 points, and I'm pretty sure the betting line, the over-under's over 60, so the bettors believe that it is as well. So we got Texas Tech or we got Washington State as the two teams who could defend for toffee against FCS opposition.
I'll take Texas Tech. I think they can outscore them, even though they can't defend against them.
Yeah, I'm skeptical about Washington State now they've lost Cam. And Taj Brooks could be the equalizer. He's the one who could get them the extra 6, 7 minutes of possession on the ball to square this one on. So I'm with you. We're going to sweep again for Texas Tech. Now, this is the big one, right? This is the interesting one. In fact, I can't use these rankings anymore because the new rankings have come out. Let's just say Texas at Michigan, Longhorns versus Wolverines. This is a big battle any week of the season. Texas are 1-0 after a 52-0 blowout win over Colorado State. Michigan are also 1-0 after a bit of a harder win, 30-10 against Fresno State. And here the big battle feels like Michigan D-line to Texas O-line. Like the DTs are the key here for Michigan. They've got to keep the run game quiet so that they can try and tee off on Quinn Ewers and make him make some mistakes. But Quinn Ewers looked damn good in his first game. Again, level of opposition, but we know he's got a big game mentality to him. Texas are favored by 8 on the road here. So a lot of people doubting Michigan's ability so early in the season to be able to hang with what is the high-powered offense at the minute. But Michigan are in the big house. Their atmosphere is amazing. They can get behind the team. They can be an equalizer as sorts. This feels like more of a bigger test for Texas because they've got the more readily available stars to them, and they need this. This will be big for their playoff campaign. For Michigan, feels like if they lose this, it won't be the end of the world, but they'll want to. But do you agree that Texas are overwhelming favorites for this, or do you have the Wolverines pulling off what would be a significant upset according to the bet line?
Yeah, it's Texas all the way. Michigan just don't have the offense. I just don't trust any quarterback to command that offense to be able to compete.
I agree. I think I don't not believe in Michigan, but I'm with you. I don't think
I
the
think this
offense
game's
will
too
stay on the
early for them.
field. Yeah, I don't think the offense can stay on the field long enough unless they get the run game going. It's all about the trenches, but I like Texas's trenches as well. They were utterly dominant, and I mean, I know it's Colorado State, but they shut them out by 50, and they're a good Mountain West team. Generally, Mountain West teams are, and they are good in the trenches. So I would figure Texas to win this. I don't think it'll be 8 points though. I think it'll be a score. Feel like a walk-off field goal or something like that. I think it could be very close. So we've got a Texas sweep, but reluctantly. Baylor at Utah. So Baylor are 1-0 after a 45-3 win over Tarleton State. Utah 1-0 after a 49-0 blowout over Southern Utah. We learned nothing about these teams in week one, but we've both been, we're not as high on Utah as others are. And Baylor, for all their flaws and that, they've not been great in recent years, but Daquan Finn's there now. He's having a little bit of a settling in period, but he's doing well. He's throwing touchdown passes. Again, they're another team who's not running the ball exceptionally well, but they're getting the hard yards to allow Finn to do his job right. And Utah, I'm just not sold on them just at this moment in time, but they are at home. They can make life hell for the new Power 4 quarterback. Can you see a Baylor upset here, or are we going with Utah to open their Big 12 campaign?
No chance. That Utah D line is going to wreck Daquan game. Daquan's going to have a nightmare. I think he's going to have multiple turnovers. That Utah D line is going to rattle him no end.
Yeah. I think we're going to, for the fourth time, agree on this. I am with Utah. They are 14-point favorites. I don't think they're going to cover that spread, but I think they're going to be in. They're going to be in for a long afternoon. Baylor are again not sure a team who's just ready, but with the nature of the Big 12, who knows? Now the one I'm interested in, the Iowa derby, like we say over here, Iowa State at Iowa. Now, Iowa are favored by just 2.5, despite being the home team. Iowa State sort of labored to a win over North Dakota last week, but it's 21-3. The defense was firm. Becht and Co. did what they needed to. Iowa did win 40-0 against Illinois State, but they were only up by, 3 or 6 at halftime. I think Illinois State just got tired more than Iowa being good. Iowa State have lost Caleb Bacon, their star linebacker, for this game, but outside of that, I think they're relatively healthy. Iowa, relatively healthy in this grand scheme of things, but I'm just going to straight up say now, I believe in Iowa State. I think they're going to go there and upset them this week. But do you think they're ready yet? Do you think the Bechtical, Abu Sama, and crew are ready to go there and win?
Oh yeah, I watched Iowa State game. Jalen Noel, Jane Higgins, two of the best pairs of receivers in the nation. Two ex-receivers that one of them could be a Detroit Lion next year. They've got all the traits we need, and I'm watching them. That Iowa offense, nah, don't impress me. They were naff in the first half against Illinois State. They were pathetic. They
Yeah.
don't have the means to hurt Iowa State, I don't feel like.
All right. So we've got Iowa State sweep there. Look forward to that. Then we've got ACC Georgia Tech at Syracuse. So Georgia Tech 2-0 on the season. They had the big win in Ireland over Florida State. Followed it up with the potential banana skin, which was Georgia State, but they won that one really comfortably. Syracuse are 1-0 on the season. They had a 38-22 win over Ohio, but it wasn't
They were
dominant.
good.
No, it wasn't dominant. GT are favored by 3 on the road, but this traditionally is these are the type of games that Georgia Tech lose to stop them being a big gun in the conference after winning the big games. So this is very much banana skin territory for Georgia Tech here. Have you seen enough from this team this year to convince you that it won't be?
Yes. Give me the Yellow Jackets.
I'm
I
with
think
you.
this is the year things are clicking.
I'm with you. I've seen enough from them this year to think that they're legit. I think the run game's
Their
good.
run game.
Haynes is mwah. I think they will do what they need to. And Ohio, they rushed for a lot of yards on them. Let me just pick it up now. But it was significantly more than what I was expecting. I'm sure it was. Just bear with me one moment. How many yards did they have on them? They had so Anthony Tyus III, the Ohio running back, had 16 carries, 203 yards at 12.7 yards per carry and two touchdowns. Overall, they had 270 rushing yards on them, and that's a max-sized Ohio. Saw what Georgia Tech did to Florida State. And what the hell are they going to do to that Syracuse D-line? I don't think this is going to be close. I'm with you. Georgia Tech sweep there, so we're pretty much even so far. Arkansas at Oklahoma State, who were ranked. Arkansas blowout 70 to nothing win over Arkansas Pine Bluff to start the year. Oklahoma State beat South Dakota State 44 to 20. Again, not the most prettiest, but they got the job done. But Oklahoma State favored by 7.5 here. And I think Taylor Green and this Arkansas outfit are a lot better than people are giving them credit for. But Ollie Gordon looks like a Heisman potential guy this year who just keeps getting the job done. Road upset here or Cowboys at home?
I did enjoy watching Taylor Green's debut. He's a phenomenal athlete. He's the kind of guy that someone gets enamored with and drafts him as a pro quarterback. Because like I said, a guy like 6'6", he's built like Adonis. But no, I'll take Oklahoma State in a close one. Alan Bowman was fine against SDSU, who actually put up a pretty good fight, but they did fall away at the end. But yeah, Ollie Gordon. I just think the run game will help them manage it.
I'm going to separate from you on this one. I'm going to go Arkansas. I like Taylor Green. I have. I think maybe they found what they need to again this year. I think there could be an upset there. We've got three left. Virginia at Wake Forest. Virginia 1-0 after a 34-13 win over Richmond. Wake Forest didn't look great, beating North Carolina A&T 45 to 13. Started off slow, but eventually pulled away in the second half. Wake Forest favored by 2 here, so very close ACC game, but Wake Forest don't look as bad as they have in recent years. Virginia look competent as well. This is 2 lower middle ACC programs, let's say, fighting this one out. Ooh, picture fancy.
You mean Virginia. Wake Forest were terrible in ACC play last year.
They were. I don't know. They're just something's calling me to Wake Forest, so I'm going to split with you again and go Wake Forest, but not for anything particular. I just think they do look a bit better than they have in recent years. Colorado at Nebraska next. Colorado, we've talked about them at the top of the show against North Dakota State. Nebraska. So we've not talked about Nebraska, but they were one of the many teams who blew out on opening week. They beat UTEP 40 points to 7, and one Dylan Raiola got his first ever college football appearance, obviously son of Lions center Dominic Raiola. 19 of 27, 238 yards, 2 touchdowns. They had 12 guys run the football in the first game. 3 of them got over 50 yards. Of course, they're always going to remain true to the run, but they got a lot of passing yards in there. Isaiah Neal looked really good for them. The defense looked really good, as it usually is. This is potentially a different Nebraska beast now with Raiola at the helm, but this is going to be his first big challenge. They're at home. They're favored by 7. You've got Dion going up there causing what he wouldn't call an upset, but to the bookies is, or is Dylan going to get his first big signature win?
You mean Nebraska in a shootout?
Oh, going breaking again. I've got Colorado in this. I don't like them. I just feel like they're going to expect to beat a team like this, and they're going to feel disrespected that they're a point of a score underdog. I've got them winning this, but I've not really watched Nebraska yet, so Dylan's still got to prove himself. And then the last one, and I've put this in just for you after what happened in week 1. Arizona State won in Tempe last week. They play in Tempe again this week. Mississippi State are the new guys coming to town. They beat Western Kentucky 56 to 7 week 1. Arizona State obviously beating Wyoming 48 to 7. Arizona State are favored by 6.5 in this one. Obviously, Miss State going through their transition period. They've got Blake Shappen, the old Baylor quarterback there. Now he threw for 3 touchdowns, had a rushing touchdown, but we know how he can be. They'll know him well. 2-0 for the Sun Devils, or technical road upset for the
Watch
Bulldogs?
Collectively, they ran the ball so well. Like I say, they had a lot of guys touching it. This is going to be really interesting. I'll just give it to ASU because it's at home and they're traveling to them.
Oh, I believe in ASU as well. So we're gonna finish with a agreement on that. Arizona State to beat Miss State at home. Just in terms of sort of other fixtures we've got on the week. So in terms of rankings, Penn State at home to Bowling Green, Kansas State on the road to Tulane. Upset there, or would you reckon Kansas State will win?
I think Kansas State will handle business here.
Yeah, Georgia are at home to Tennessee Tech. Yeah, that's just not going to happen. Notre Dame at home to Northern Illinois. Louisville, who are ranked 22nd at home to Jacksonville
App State,
State.
Clemson.
I was gonna put this in that I wasn't sure. Joey Aguilar, and I
That's
love that
dangerous for
offense.
Clemson.
And it's at Death Valley. This could be the one that really puts him under. I sort of sniffed a partial upset. Do you sniff a bigger upset?
Oh, I can see, yeah. I can see App State taking that.
You know what? I'm going to get in with you on that. App State upset over Clemson. I truly believe that they are capable of doing that. So I'm glad you brought that one up, actually. I was unsure, but I'm glad you did. Michigan State at Maryland, UTSA, Texas State. Who else? So Miami have got Florida A&M at home. I don't think any of the other major seeds. Alabama have got South Florida. I don't expect to see a repeat last year. Kansas on the road to Illinois.
I think Kansas will just take it. They weren't great in their first game, but
Yeah. Buffalo on the road to Missouri. The ranked one we've got is NC State at Tennessee. I'm the NC State fan, and I think Iamaleava's going to
yeah,
murder
Nico
us.
is probably going to slice and dice there, I think.
Nico looks good. LSU at home to Nichols. Ohio State at home to Western Michigan. Oklahoma at home to Houston. Don't see them causing any issues there. Right, okay. I want to float this one out there because I was going to put this one as well. We're going to finish the episode with this because it's been going a while. Oregon at home to Boise State. Boise State and Ashton Gianti. Now, I think there's a 19-point spread here, but that was another one when I looked at it that my senses tingled
They're
a little
covering
bit.
that easily.
Are you feeling brave enough to say Ashton Gianti could go there and help cause an upset, or are we not quite there? We're just covering the spread territory.
Covering the spread. Dylan Gabriel, like I say, completed 41 passes last weekend. It wouldn't surprise me if he goes, and he still probably has to throw the ball another 50 times.
Okay, that's absolutely
I think Boise
fair.
State, like you say, their offense will do damage to Oregon defense. But I think the Oregon offense, like I said, they still ran the ball pretty well last week as well. They could splatter that Boise D. That's one. I think that could go overtime.
If it was at Boise, I'd call an upset. I just think because it's in Eugene, it might not be. But I definitely tingled at that one. Right, we've been going a while, so we'll leave it there. That's everything from us this week. Obviously, covered week one. We've had a little look at what's going ahead at week two. And of course, that's what the weeks are going to be now. So we're going to be back next week. Looking at week two, what went on there, what storylines have emerged, what players have emerged, and then we'll take a look ahead to week three. Thank you for everyone who's joined us this evening. In terms of next podcasts, I was going to say tomorrow. In 2 days, on Thursday, the main Detroit Lions podcast is back. We will be previewing the Detroit Lions season opener against the LA Rams. Be the first of our preview pods this year. It's going to be great. Looking forward to that. So we've got 2 episodes a week on the main pod. So come join us for that if you can. Then, of course, on Sunday, Matt and Ash will be live during the game, calling it as they see it. So if you want to come join them and chat with them during the game, then please do come in and join them. And as I say, me and Ryan will be back in a week talking college ball. But yeah, just remains for me to thank you, Ryan. Thanks ever so much. It's been a good week. It's been fun. In a land of landslides, there was plenty of gold nuggets to be found in the world of college football. What are we going to see next week? We will find out. We will see you soon. It just remains for me to say, one pride.
Recording stopped.